They were both O'Learys.
Oh, yeah.
No, I'm
That's,
an O'Leary.
Lee, who's Lee there with the Santa Claus beard there? He's looking pretty good.
All of a sudden I lost your.
Where are you from? Where are you from? No, we can read it. We can read it.
What do you want to do?
Julia O'Leary, that's my mother.
In case it comes on.
Oh, right. Put a picture up, yeah.
All right, continue to have more people. We've got 3 minutes.
Here comes Julia, here's Caparella. She's coming on.
Julia O'Leary, yeah. Oh. Oh, there's another Julia.
Well, why don't you?
Probably.
Hey, everybody.
Boy, they're coming out of the woodwork there, Pat.
That's how it's supposed to work.
That's it, coming out of the woodwork. There's Larry Brewer.
Chairs up. Let's go to the chairs.
Yeah.
Wonder if I put that on.
Good morning.
Share screen, do I share screen?
All right.
Can you cover that?
When we get going, I'm going to give everybody a very quick lesson on Zoom. We'll go through some of the features.
Pull these over.
That's Patrick.
There's Julia. Hi, Julia.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi, Don.
Hello.
Good. How are you?
You're up late.
I know.
Are we related or not, Julia? Have we ever figured that out?
I know we didn't. I think we must be somewhere along the line.
We all are. We all are somewhere.
Yeah.
There we go.
I think you're going to run out of screen room here,
Oh.
Pat.
Oh,
Hi,
yeah.
everyone.
I think actually the max.
Hello,
is
Norma.
30.
Yeah, let's.
Hi.
There's
Get
Tom.
the other
Tom
one.
Carlson. He just
Good.
woke up.
I just
Hi,
sent him the,
Patrick.
Hi, Tom.
Patrick, is me, Blanca.
Hey, Blanca, nice to see you. From Puerto Rico.
Oh, Tim, what have I done?
Oh.
What do you go?
All right.
Okay.
Everybody keeps rolling in here.
It didn't do anything.
You come back.
Patrick from Oregon. Patricia.
Who's from Oregon?
Honest. Patricia.
Oh,
Oregon.
our daughter and granddaughters are out there in Nesquin
Okay.
and
I'm giving everybody the 2-minute warning. In 2 minutes, I'm going to mute
They're not-
everybody.
Hopefully they're not in the fires because we had fires here. My house survived though.
That's so good.
yeah.
That's good to hear. You guys live in California?
I'm in Medford,
Oregon.
Oregon. I'm in Oregon.
Oregon, where's Oregon?
Where? in Oregon?
Roseburg, about an
Above
hour,
from, can you see?
an hour south of Eugene.
Okay.
Oh,
Our,
yeah.
West
our,
Coast.
our daughter's from Nesquin. Well, she's from Glen Eden Beach now. Glen Eden Beach.
I'm from Puerto Rico. We're the only
Lincoln.
O'Learys. We're the
Lincoln
only
City.
O'Learys from Puerto
I got
Rico.
mine.
Hey,
You know,
Tom,
we've
Tom,
just
you
got
all ready to
started
go?
and I already feel like I'm losing control of this.
No, you're doing okay. Patrick, I was thinking if we were all in
Okay,
the
so
same room, it
11,
would be the
it's
same.
11, Pat, you're gonna have to mute.
I did.
All right, we got 1 minute.
John.
Say Lee still. I thought it
There's so many people.
Damon. Where you're from on the sign. Hold it
There's
up.
30.
38 on.
Hi, Beth.
There's the party
Hi,
girl.
Land.
How are
I don't know
you?
where that.
Good. How are you?
I don't know where that.
Oh, see pictures of Australia and think that's where the citizens are.
Where everybody's on the.
Good luck, Pat.
So far.
All right,
There's like 7 states. One of them is.
Try and get this on.
okay, everybody. We're going to mute. So
Hi.
muting everybody and we're going to get going here.
Do it your way.
It's nice meeting you.
I got everybody. Can everybody hear me? Just give me one of these. Can everybody? All right. It's calm here at Control Center. So first of all, let's get rolling here. I want to say good morning, good afternoon, good evening, aloha, and I guess good day. I'm sure that I don't know if that's right for you Australian folks, but we do have some people here from Australia. It is 1 a.m. Sunday morning in Australia. So bless them for showing up. I'm Pat O'Leary. I'm the person who's been sending out all the emails and will be the host of this session today. There are, as you can see on the screen, we have 60 people that have registered, and obviously there are many other people inside these rooms. So we literally could have 80 or 90 people attending this session. Now, for those of you who've never been on a Zoom call, I am the host, so I can control all the muting, the unmuting, but the cameras, if you have your camera off, I can request it be turned on, but you will get a prompt from me that says the host has requested your camera. In other words, I can't turn your camera on without you not knowing it. So I'm not going to catch you scratching your nose or anything. Okay. So I'm sitting here in Louisville, Kentucky. And the reason I'm on the screen twice is because I have an iPad over here to my left that tells me what you're looking at. And I've also got a second monitor. So if you see me looking to my right, that's what I'm looking at. So I've got quite a collection of electronics here. I do have my email up. I will try to monitor a little bit, but I'll be pretty busy today. So I'm hoping that everybody got on without a hitch. For those folks that, well, we'll get to that in a minute. My first gathering was in 2015, and I've attended every one since. I've been on the committee for about 3 years, helping. And again, like I said, I'm in Louisville. A quick review of the agenda. I've got a couple things I want to cover. I want to give you a quick Zoom lesson. I've got a small PowerPoint presentation I'm going to go through. And then I'm going to hand it off to Joe. He'll give us his report from Inchigila. The next speaker will be Tom Carlson, the person who bought the O'Leary Castle. He's going to give us an update. He's got a great video to go with that. Then Tom Leary from Massachusetts is going to talk about, thank you, Tom. He's going to talk about some of what I call some of the famous and some of the unique O'Learys in our history. Then we're going to move to the entertainment portion and have some Irish dance from Lucas O'Leary in Dublin. And then we're going to roll back to me. That will be our formal presentation, and we're going to go around the room. And how I'm going to do that is, again, I can mute and unmute mics. I'm going to start with the Australian folks since they got up so early and this kind of move east. So it'll be Australia, Hawaii, West Coast of California or United States, the middle. And then at that point, it's just random how I'm going to select people. So that's that. So let me do a very quick Zoom lesson. For those of you, I know everybody's on a different, you might be on a computer, you might be on an iPad, you might be on a phone. I'm not sure which device, but I'm obviously on a laptop, so I'm going to show you what I know. If you pull your mouse all the way to the bottom of the screen, all the way to the left, you see the mute or the microphone. You just click it on, off. You get the red slashes when it's muted. Very simple. Right next to that is the stop video. If that's got a red slash through it, that means your camera's not on. You have to click on that little camera to get the video to come on. Okay. Next to that is participants. If you click that on the right hand of the screen, you will get the list of participants. And you'll be able to see whose camera's on and whose mic's on. That's the list of participants. This right beside the participants is chat. That's a nice feature. Like if you see on the screen your third cousin that you have never met, if you click on the chat function, it'll drop in a box right below participants. And if you look at the very bottom of the chat box, there is a way to send everybody a message. Matter of fact, I'm going to send everybody a quick message here so everybody knows what that looks like. Whoops, I'm going to try to spell things correctly. So everybody should have got a message from me. Now, if the box that says everyone on it If you click that down, you will bring up a list of participants. And then that way you can send somebody individually a request. Hang on a second here. Okay. You can send somebody individually a message. So that's chat. Share screen, I'm in control of that. Don't worry about that. Reactions. The button says, how did somebody's talking? How does that happen?
Oh.
There we go. I don't know how that got shut off. Okay. The shared screen, don't worry about. Reactions. The button that says reactions. If you click on it, you've got two reactions. If you click the clapping hand, you'll see in my box, there's a clapping hand over in the corner. If you click the thumbs up, you'll get a thumbs up. And then over underneath participations, all the way to the right of participations, there's a box with 3 little dots in it. If you click that, you'll be able to raise your hand. And I'll be able to see on the screen that you're trying to get my attention. Okay? So again, reactions, clap, reactions, thumbs up. We looked yesterday, there is no middle finger. Don wanted to be able to use that, but so anyway, that's just a way of letting people know whatever they said or did, you agreed with. So, okay. Let me try to get that off my screen. And it'll go away by itself. All right, that is my Zoom lesson. I almost asked if there were any questions, but I know better. But again, I'm the host. I control, I'm looking at my screen here and I can see that everybody's microphones are muted, which is a good thing. Again, I see a lot of people took my advice and have their sign. We're going to hold that up between Joe and Tom's session. So, but as you've already probably discovered, it sometimes is a nice thing just to be able to get people's attention with and tell them where you're from. Okay. All right. I'm going to go through a very quick presentation. Hang on a second here, but I'm going to share my screen. So hang on. Let me get that set up. Go back. All right, hang on. Talk amongst yourselves. It's just a lot of buttons here to deal with. Okay. Now, oops. All right, let me back up one here. Okay, so on the screen, everybody should have a picture of Creed's Hotel. This is where we should be right now, instead of on this Zoom call. But this is better than nothing. For those who have not attended a gathering, this is the location of the gathering every year. They're at Joe Creedon's Hotel. This is an aerial shot of Joe's or Inchagila. It's that clump of buildings is the village of Inchagila. I put some labels for you to give you a kind of reference point. There's the hotel. Right up the road is the church. Down from the church, you'll see the cemetery. The River Lee runs behind, right there behind the hotel. That road R584, if you keep following it up about 10 miles, you run into Macroom. Just another aerial picture, and there's Joe's Hotel. We're going to be talking about the castle here in a few minutes. That's the hotel in relationship to where the castle's at. Just another aerial picture. I think this one by far is my favorite one. There's a person who lives in Inchagila named Shane Hurley, I believe is his last name. He took these pictures, obviously using a drone. I like to always call this is Main Street, Inchagila. This picture was taken during rush hour. So you can see how quiet the village is. Just a little tighter shot. There's the hotel, and you can see the church up in the top there. And then on Friday night, we gather, we have a walking tour of Inchagila. We go down to the castle sometimes. We have a meal, and we all sit and talk. Saturday morning, we get up, we get on a bus, a coach, and we head out and we visit parts of Cork that have a connection to the O'Leary clan. I've assembled a few pictures. Literally, I could have filled 100 slides with pictures, but I just wanted to kind of give you a general idea of what we do on a gathering. Again, there's the bus in front of the hotel. We're all getting ready to load up. These are just some of the sites that we've been to. We visit a church. There's Rosie's husband. Castles. We've been to this one a couple times, actually. It's a variety of things that we pass. The one there in the top left, best of luck, lads. We were in Ireland. They were doing some kind of All Ireland at the time, and there were literally these signs all over Cork. Of course, we stopped for lunch. We typically stop here. Most, not all, but most gatherings I've attended at least. It's a place there near Bantry. We visit some historical sites. The one top left is the ambush site of where Michael Collins was killed. The one on the right is, if I get this right, Kilmichael, I guess. Joe will correct me, and I'm sure. The one on the bottom left is a famous walker in Ireland, and they have a memorial. That's Eugene and Dearman on top there. I think pretty much every gathering I've attended, we've gone to Guggenbar. It is one of my favorite places in Ireland. That picture on the left with the lake, I think everybody who have ever been to Ireland has that picture. It is just a beautiful place to visit. We visit some small museums. We've been to the Skibbereen Heritage Center and the Kilmurray Museum there. And then it's back to Joe's, where we have a meal and we have some fun, and usually some local Irish musicians come in and play music, and it's a good time. So that is Saturday night. And then Sunday morning, we get up, we share a meal typically, and we always go down to the church, which is literally about a 2-minute walk from Joe's Hotel. The priest always acknowledges that we're in the crowd. And of course, this is 2018, the gathering. This is right across the street from Joe's. And my last slide here is we felt kind of almost an obligation to pay a little tribute to Peter O'Leary. Peter was the guy that started the gathering back in 1996. We always walk down to the cemetery. That top left there is Joe next to Peter's grave, and pay our respects. So that is the guy that is the person that got us rolling on all this. And then hopefully we'll see everybody next year in Inchagila. The gathering typically is the weekend after Labor Day, which is a United States holiday, which is the first Monday in September. So those are the tentative dates for the gathering in 2021. And that picture over there is your committee, myself, Joe, and Dearman. So that is that. Now let me unshare my screen here. Okay, we're back to all the little squares. All right, so it's time to kick off the gathering, and you've got to quit listening to me. So now I have to find, hang on a second here, it's going to take me a minute. I have to find Tom here on my list so I can unmute him. Well, where are you at?
Sure, I've done it. I got it. Can you hear me?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, I can hear you.
All right.
You know what? Hang on a minute, 1 minute, Tom. One feature I forgot to explain. Up in the top right-hand corner of the screen, you see speaker view or galley view. If you click speaker view, when I'm talking, I'm big on your screen, and there's a bunch of small boxes. If you click galley, you go back to the small squares. So I would encourage you to click speaker view, so when Tom does his presentation and we show the video fills your screen. So you want speaker view. Okay. So Tom, are you ready to go?
Joe's first, right?
Oh, that's correct. I'm sorry. Joe. Hey, go ahead, Joe.
Hello, everybody.
Keep Mila Fáilte in Irish, 100,000 welcomes. And thank you for putting all this together today, Pat. It is wonderful to see so many familiar faces on the screen. I can see Don and Jane cooing and billing there in one part of it. And I see so many familiar faces. It's marvelous. Of course, we wish you were here this weekend, but you know, this talking to you all is nearly as good. So I'm going to sing you a welcome, because that's what I do mostly. I greet you proud, Eve Larry's sons and daughters fair and true, assembled at the Southend Club, old friendships to renew. This annual opportunity I loathe to let it pass, ere I recite a tale tonight of my Inchigeela lass. She was as modest as the cooing dove, as gentle as the fawn, that roves o'er Desmond's storied heights, those highlands o'er Gugon. No goddess fair in Grecian air, in beauty could surpass my winsome rose, my maureen oak, my Inchigeela lass. I can see a lot of smiling faces on the screen, so you kind of like my singing, so that's good. And I think we're reaching into your hearts and minds this evening via the internet. But it's great to see you all. And we have had a very exciting year, even though we've been locked down. We've been doing a lot of exciting things in Inchigeela. And of course, my colleague here has been with us for the last while, and he's been doing a lot of very, very good work for Inchigeela. As I say, he's going to make Inchigeela great again. We always thought we were great, but we're going to be even greater now. And the biggest treasure we have, and I feel, is our diaspora, is our clan, is our friends from all over the world. And you know that when you come here, we make you welcome, but we mean to make you welcome because we feel you are at home. And I have a little saying for people that come, they do different things when they come with their computer, or they come with a glass of whiskey and a cigarette. Tread softly, you tread on my dreams. So you come back to your home, and we're glad to be here to make sure that you visit home. And this evening, to us, it's our chance to get to meet you all again. We get to meet quite a few of them fairly often. John keeps me on my toes, you know. He's been the one that gives me a bit of a G up now and again to do things and prepare for your next visit. Some of you have been following us on our videos, so if you look up YouTube, and you put Joe Cretan in, you'll probably be able to follow us in some of our video presentations. So I don't want to hold the air too long, but it's been a great pleasure to see you all. And I feel I'm an O'Leary and that you're my family. People, I'm Cretan, I'm an O'Leary. I'm Inchigeela, and Inchigeela is also Eve Leary and O'Leary. So blessings to you all.
Joe, thanks so much. I always say that Joe has a wonderful singing voice, and he's not shy about sharing it. Before we get going with Tom's presentation, this is the part that everybody get their signs out. I want everybody to hold up their signs and tell us where you're all from. This is a point where I asked everybody, hopefully I see some people already, wow, we are from everywhere. Look at that. And even down the road, there's Macroom, they got Oregon.
Oh, good. What about on the side there? Well, yes, right. You got our flag there. So, sure. That's ours. Yeah. This?
Well, there you go.
Yeah. All the way to Inchigeela. Yeah.
And then one other thing that I need to take care of, all right, thank everybody for their sign, is Dearman, don't you have a special announcement here? Can you unmute and give it to us?
Are you there? If I can find you here.
Yes, I'm here. But as far as I can see, the lady isn't.
Well, I'll tell you what. We'll try to fit that in later. Matter of fact, she sent me an email. She was having trouble. I tried to send her a new link. We'll see what happens.
Rightio. Okay,
Right.
we'll leave it later.
We'll move forward. So the next presentation then is Tom. You ready to go?
Yes, sir, I am.
It's all yours. You want me to go ahead and start the video, or?
Let me just give a couple of words first. As many of you may have heard, my wife and I, Sean O'Leary, purchased the castle. Everybody asks how that came about. Well, like most things that are going to end up costing you a lot of money, it started with an argument with my wife. She said something about O'Leary history, and I said, no, that's not right. So I grabbed the computer and I type in O'Leary history. Up pops this advert for the last standing O'Leary castle. So we came over here, and long story short, we bought the castle. We are restoring it to its ultimate configuration. We found a lot of incredible things archaeologically, historically, but it's not going to be a private home. It's going to be open to all of you because it is your castle. All of the O'Learys, all of the people of the Lee Valley, this is your castle. So, Patrick, if you could roll that footage, then we'll.
All right. Give me a couple minutes.
Okay.
Not a couple minutes, but give me a couple seconds.
And this is going to start out in the old church. And we're including the old church in this project to restore everything because that was the church that went along with the castle. And so we've already started a small project to repair one of the arches so it doesn't fall down. But we're going to put effort into this church as well. And this is just some footage that will show you the whole panorama of your ancestors' homeland. And were it not for the famine or transportation or whatever it was that took your family to where you are now, if that had not happened, this is where you would have been born and raised. So this is looking towards Cork to the east, and we're following along the Lee River there, which is in the trees. And off in the center there, next to the white farmhouse, is the castle. If you have a large screen, you might be able to see it here. We'll transition quickly to the, yeah, there it is. And that farm that's next to the castle would have been the farm that was there since the beginning, because every castle had a farm to raise food and such for the garrison. And the village originally was located there. And when the English took the castle, they blocked off that road, so the village had to migrate to where Inchkeela is today, off in the distance there. Yeah, that's looking to the west. And now, Patrick, if you'll pause right there. Okay, if you could back up just a hair. Okay, you're there, perfect. Well, right there, a little bit more there. Okay, now we've discovered something really interesting about the castle, and we're doing the research and the archaeology and the engineering. It's gone through, well, we went through constant reconfiguration. And we've now discovered there were two building phases. One was a very early Norman phase, where it was actually part of the defenses for Cork. And when Henry II arrived, when he and the English Pope decided that Ireland would belong to him, this was one of the fortresses 1 day's march from Cork. And so this would be the one directly to the west of Cork. But then later, the O'Leary clan rebuilt it as a typical Irish tower house. But this is the very top, and about 15 years ago, somebody bought the castle and started doing some things that aren't quite correct. So this old you can see the old part, and then you can see that more modern roofing part. We're going to remove that and rebuild it as it would have been 500 years ago. But we have discovered now that this castle is 1,000 years old and was rebuilt 500 years ago as a tower house. And if you see along that lower level was the walkway behind the wall. And during the Cromwellian occupation, his general, Roger Boyle, sent crews out to knock all the castles in the area. So he set up his headquarters at Blarney, and they came over to Carrignacura and they pushed the wall off the top. And our archaeologist has found some of the original stones from the very top. And then along where you see the go button there and the green straps, those are stairs up to a tower. So what you see there is the part you would stand on. It's not the tower itself, that's gone. So we're going to rebuild the tower. It'll be as tall as that old chimney. And right below that go button, you can see a vertical stack of stones. To the left, there's a stack missing. That's one of those boxes for right over the door where you would drop spears or stones or whatever. And so that's, we're going to add significantly to the top of the castle. So when you see it again, it will be as tall as probably the top of that chimney there. Okay, Patrick. Now, as we go up, the corners were rebuilt in modern times because they tried to knock the whole thing down. But this is the Norman part, and then that fighting box was rebuilt on the corner. And this is the Irish part. And there you can see the mountains in the distance, and you really get an impression. One of the things we tried to figure out was this castle built to protect Cork or the Lee Valley? And it turns out it was both. It changed. Now, if you pause it there, this is going to be a great view. Patrick, let's start with a pointer to the right of the castle. And that tree there, a little bit lower, that tree is covering up something that we discovered first, and that was a large, flat stone area, and it's the foundation for a tower. And then if you come straight down to the center lower part of the picture, right there, to the right there, that green tree, the dark tree there. That's another tower base. And once we had two of them, then we just simply went equal distance across that the bottom of that photo, and we found other tower bases. So it wasn't a barn wall for protecting livestock. It was a military defensive wall because it's a very prominent position with the road from Macroom to Dunmanway, the old road, crosses the Lee River, and that's a significant intersection between two highways of that time. Now you see all the stones there and these ditches, the trenches, and clearing around the castle. That's all work from the archaeologists who have started with that. And the pile of stones closest to the castle, over by the door, right? Yeah, the smaller pile to the right, those are stones that were identified as having been up on the top part of the wall. And then the next pile are work stones that we're saving. The next pile is just general structural stones. And then that small pile at the bottom, those are flat stones we're going to reuse, because we want to reuse as much of the original material as we can. So up in the upper right of the picture, you can see our archaeologists up there working away. So, all right, Patrick, I think we can roll through now. So we have obtained all of our permits now. It's been about a 2-year process just to get the permits, because the government has to approve every tiny little thing we do. We are still waiting on a bat license, but we're forging on ahead. We're discovering things all the time archaeologically, artifacts like they use stones the size of a softball to drop off the top. Those were river rock that they used, and so they would ricochet off the bottom of the castle. We found coins and slag from bronze furnace and things of that nature. Now, here you can see the archaeological trenches, and there in the white hat is our archaeologist, Tony Miller. He's the lead project archaeologist, but we have quite a few people working on that. But the real exciting thing, too, is that we have a major TV producer out of London who has decided to make a TV show about the restoration of the castle. But I talked to them and I said, this is not the restoration of a castle. It's the restoration of the clan and the community and a people. So they came out and interviewed people in the village, and they agreed to make it about the people. Okay, go ahead and keep rolling there, Patrick. So this TV show is going to air in Australia, UK, Ireland. We're working on US distribution now. And we've started something too. People have been asking, how can we participate? And so we've started a GoFundMe so that people can participate in this. And it doesn't matter, you know, I donated once to the Vietnam Veterans Memorial in Washington, D.C., and I was a young guy at the time. I just sent in a small amount of money. But every time I go there, I think about the fact that I have contributed to it. So both the castle, the church, the community, it's leading us to restore something bigger than just these buildings. So what we're doing is we are reestablishing an order of what you would call knights and ladies in waiting. And the Irish term for it is Rí Dara a Carrignacura. So it'll be Knights of Carrignacura. And the ladies will be Bantirna a Carrignacura, or Bantirna a Lee, Ladies of the Lee. And through this GoFundMe, you'll be able to help us not just restore the castle and the church, but we're going to take care of the elderly and the children and people with special needs, so that if you want to contribute to your homeland, this is how we're going to be able to funnel those efforts. So when you come out here, you know, if you've participated in this new service organization, we will take you into the vaulted room and have you kneel and do your investiture as a knight or a lady. And so I have an announcement here that when we create this new service order, it's really going to be restoring something that's ancient, an ancient tradition of the people helping the castle helping the people. So I'm going to name the first two knights who have served the clan and the castle. And the first one, I should say, is Rir Dara. Am I saying that correctly, Dermot? Rir Dara. We researched the Irish, and we've been told.
Ridera.
Rir Dara. Rir Dara a Carrignacura. We have somebody who is... Hello. Now, of course, posthumously, we will induct Peter O'Leary, but a gentleman who has done so much for this clan that really deserves this recognition. Our first Rir Dara a Carrignacura is Dermot O'Leary, of course. So congratulations, Sir Dermot. And the other one is somebody who has helped us so much with the castle, and that is Joe Creedon. So we have Sir Joe and Sir Dermot. So we will be doing an investiture ceremony, and next year we're going to be holding this reunion in the castle. So long to fall, so long for now, and that's my report on the castle.
Thank you so much. We've been having a couple of practice sessions on this, and so I've seen that video and actually heard Tom even explain more. It is fascinating, and you know, good for you for taking on that challenge. All right, our next speaker is, looking at my notes here, make sure I haven't forgotten anything yet, is Tom Carlson Tom Leary from Massachusetts. So, Tom, are you ready to go? Can you unmute yourself? Can you unmute? There you go. It's all yours.
Okay. Well, I got to tell you, that's a real tough act to follow. Tom, I give you all the credit in the world for what you're doing here or there, and how much this project means to all of us who are involved in O'Leary history and genealogy. It's been something that Dawn and myself and many others over the years have really talked about and thought about, was doing what we can to keep the clan or the sept or the group together. These gatherings are part of that, but what you're doing is really yeoman's work. So I do applaud you and appreciate everything you're doing, and I know everybody else in the group here does. So with that, I'm going to move over to another location. I've got an O'Leary collection here that I wanted to share with you. Some of the O'Learys who can't be with us, and they can't be with us for obvious reasons, but pardon my, you can see my fireplace here with the coat of arms above it where it belongs, and some books here, and I'm going to leave the camera positioned on that as I talk about it and show you some other things. And let's see if I can get myself out of the way. All right. You'll see as you're looking at this, and hopefully this is big enough on the screen so you can see it if you have the presenter view there. There are some books on the top shelf. The Life of St. Patrick, written by Reverend James O'Leary in 1879, the Green Book. And then there are 9 or 10 books by or about O'Learys. There's a small PEI cup here. I know Judy will like this. Judith from Prince Edward Island, from a place called O'Leary, Prince Edward Island. It's out in the west part of PEI, going up toward a place called Tignish, where my French-Canadian ancestors lived. We also have a small brush here. Little silver brush. And if you look a little bit toward the center of the shelf, you'll see there's an etching of Father Arthur O'Leary, who was a Franciscan priest and noted polemical writer of his day. He did much to reform the anti-Catholic penal laws. There's also a small handmade statue here that I have of Father O'Leary. It says Father O'Leary right inside. I can't remember where I picked it up, but I just thought it was a great tribute to the man. Next, titled My Story. You can see that. I'll hold it a little closer here. My father, Peter O'Leary. Peter was born in Clondrohid, or Clondrawhead. He wrote a book entitled My Story in 1915, as well as many other stories. He's regarded as one of the founders of modern literature in the Irish language. His descendants migrated to the area around Ballyvorney, and there may be some of you out there who are descended from the siblings of Father Peter O'Leary. And the years here, let me go back to Father Arthur O'Leary. He lived from 1729 to 1802, and Father Peter O'Leary lived from 1839 to 1920, period of time when there was a lot going on. Directly under the picture of Arthur O'Leary, you'll see 4 small books published by an American publisher by the name of Leary and Getz. William Leary started a bookstore in Philadelphia, Beth, in the late 1700s, and they published a wide number of books, and he joined up with a man named Getz. And I have a number of these books here, including one there about the Scottish chiefs, which would include a lot of the dialogue about William Wallace. Many of these books are early. They go from the 1830s through the 1870s. I probably have 20 of them. I just put 4 or 5 of them out there. But Leary's bookstore was the site where in 1964 they found an original copy of the American Declaration of Independence when they were cleaning out the shelves during some restoration. It later was auctioned, and it brought probably $1 to $2 million on the auction block. It's too bad we didn't have a copy of that to help with the funding of the restoration of Carricknacora. Right around those books, you'll see a music CD by Piper Christie O'Leary. Christie is originally from Kerry, but I think I spoke to him one time, and his ancestors are from the Macroom area. And an audio tape by Dermot O'Leary and the Bards, which was a famous Irish music group in Ireland especially in the 1990s and 80s. I'm going to be moving the laptop now to another place. Oh, I know what I got to do. I got to show you this Leary and Getz. It's a little ad that they published in the 1860s, I believe. Well, let's see. Let's see if I can line this up. And the reason I'm doing it this way is because I want to give you a view, and hopefully you're able to see some of these things rather than just looking at me talking. And while you look at this selection of books, I want to continue with the musical theme and show you some sheet music. And you see a big L on my screen there, so I'm not sure what I'm showing you, but this is You danced your way into my heart, and now I'm in love with you. And you can see words and music. James O'Leary is in the credits. I like this one. Gee, but I hate to go home alone. And the performers are Dougal and Leary, two very dapper looking folks from the 1920s, I believe. I have the original in Maine, but this is a photocopy of Sweet Katie Leary. This is all sheet music from the 20s. And last but not least here, on the sheet music, Sergeant Mike O'Leary. You can see the illustration of Sergeant O'Leary as he single-handedly was taking out a machine gun nest in World War I in 1915. It was an act for which he was awarded the Victoria Cross, which is the equivalent of the American Medal of Honor. and perhaps you'll hear more about him. I know that Dermot has an original recruitment poster that his image was used on. And I've got a New York Times pictorial which shows that London goes absolutely hero mad, dated August 15th of 1915. And you can see them in Trafalgar Square celebrating to welcome Michael O'Leary and his remarkable accomplishment during World War I at a time when they really needed the boost. I should also add, for those of you that are not aware, that recently a cousin of Joe Creedon's, by the name of Connell Creedon, who is a noted author living in Cork City, wrote this book, The Immortal Deed of Michael O'Leary. Thank you to my cousin Sean O'Leary of Macroom, for sending me this copy. The book is available if you're interested. I should also mention that in talking about Tom's work on the castle, is a book that perhaps I should send him, or maybe bring it over if I can get over there someday, called The Fields of Athenry, and it's about a fellow who bought a castle in Athenry and all about his experiences. If you haven't been to Ireland, I couldn't recommend it any more highly. You have to go. But taking on a project like this, it's like a work of dreams that we all wish Tom well with everything that he's doing, and send him all of our support. I'm going to try to get off so I can see myself here. I've got a view that is, I have an L and not the view that I would like to have. No, maybe not. I don't know if I can do that, but
we can see you. There you go. We can see you, Tom.
Okay, I couldn't see you. All I could see was a big L with a purple screen on it.
Yeah, somebody unmuted the mic. I got that back under control. We're good.
Thank you. Okay, I'm going to try again and continue. Am I doing okay here, Pat?
A couple more minutes, just so we can get to Lucas.
Okay. Couple more minutes. Let's see. How come I can't get speaker view here?
I have no idea.
All right. Well, unfortunately, I'll just have to wing it. If you take a look at the shelf, I'll hold it down here because my picture is too small. The detached recollections of General Daniel Florencio O'Leary. General O'Leary was born in Cork, immigrated to America in 1818. He became the aide-de-camp to Simon Bolivar. This is a book, much later published, but written by him about the work of Simon Bolivar, who eventually gained it in certain countries. His descendants have visited Inchigeelagh frequently. They've been to gatherings, and Peter O'Leary, in fact, is descended from the family of Daniel Florencio O'Leary. And in the graveyard at Inchigeelagh, you'll find that there is a monument there to family members and to that wing of the O'Learys. On the shelf, there are also some books from the Ballingarry Historical Society. They are a very, very important collection to the history of the area around Inchigeelagh, Ballingarry, the whole valley in that area. a fellow named Sean O'Sullivan is kind of the guy behind the scenes who does an awful lot of the work for them. Peter O'Leary's original articles are published in the Ballingeary Historical Society. Many of these writings can be found online. There is a website, and so you can read a number of the articles written by Peter O'Leary back into the 90s when he started writing articles about the O'Learys. They're certainly filled with facts and interest to anybody who would like to know more about the O'Learys. Let's move on to the showbiz part, Beth. This is a young lady by the name of Gilda O'Leary. Gilda was a noted actress of stage, and she was actually on the screen in a movie back between, she worked between 1915 and 1926. Unfortunately, she died of Addison's disease in 1927, but this is a hand-autographed picture of her portrait that I received. She worked with such notable folks as Chauncey Alcott. Anybody familiar with American Irish music will remember that Chauncey Alcott was a very famous showman of Broadway in the teens and 20s when a lot of those early Irish shows were being presented. And there are pictures of her with him, although I don't have one to show you here. Moving on, I want to show you the Police Gazette. The Police Gazette was a periodical of sporting interest that was published. This one dates to 1915 with the pretty young lady on the cover, but I'm showing it to you more for the pictures on the back, which are pictures of boxers, including one, Johnny O'Leary. Now, Johnny O'Leary was a Canadian champion lightweight boxer. This photograph was taken, as I say, in 1915, but unfortunately, Johnny O'Leary, who had been rated as one of the fastest lightweights in the West, was shot and killed in 1922. In March of 1922, he was killed in the Sacramento, California area by another fellow. There actually seems to be a little bit of evidence that Johnny was engaged in some strike-breaking activities. This fellow, I think Johnny was engaged as to support the strikers. I think there was a strike breaker who actually killed him. So there's Johnny O'Leary.
Hey, Tom, can you maybe give us one more thing and then we can get to Dermot?
Okay. This is Elwyn O'Leary. Elwyn is from the North Carolina O'Learys. And Elwyn had a potato company. The potato bag here is a 10-pound bag of potatoes. He had about 9 siblings, and his relatives, his descendants, have been at the reunion. They're all from North Carolina. I have other materials here from others, including Beth, including Cheryl, including Rita Wilson, that have been sent to me over the years, and I also have some things which I know you talked about earlier, which was a destroyer that was sunk in World War II in 1943. It was actually commissioned in 1919 and named for a Clarence Leary of Vermont. Clarence had been a recipient of the Navy Cross when he rescued fellow crew members during a fire in 1918 during World War I. And with that, I'll end it and let you go to Dermot. So
that's a great way to end it on a U.S. Navy ship. I appreciate that.
Thank you very much.
All right, Dermot, are you there?
Yes.
All right, you got it. Your show. And again, I want to remind everybody, you should really go to the speaker view. That way, when I'm speaking or Dermot's speaking, the picture becomes large and all the little small squares disappear. Speaker's view. All right, Dermot, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just looking through the participants, Steve. I don't see Lucas listed, or...
Oh.
But just one sec. He should be there. Oh, yeah, he is there, actually. Do you see COL? Anyone should, you're the first of your C's.
All right. Oh, yeah, I got it. He's unmuted. Yeah, tell him to say something. There you go.
Ah, there's Lucas now. Lucas, good to see you. We're going to now have an Irish dance from Lucas. He's in Dublin. This dance is called Man Reel.
I've just unmuted everybody. Everybody's unmuted, so we all can applaud for it.
Good job. Good job. Lovely.
All right.
Thank you, Lucas, and
hang on a minute.
see you again in about 2 minutes for one more, yes?
Yeah, hang on. I'm gonna mute everybody back. Hang on a second. Let me get you back unmuted. Or can you unmute yourself? There you go. I see it.
Okay.
All right, there you are. You're back.
Right, so Lucas, thank you for that, and we'll see you back again in a minute or two for one more, yes?
Yes.
Very good. Thanks. See you then. Right, Patrick.
So it's your show.
Yes. I don't see Maureen having signed in yet.
Yeah, I've sent her the link, so I don't know what's up with that.
Okay, well, we'll leave that for the moment. She may join us later.
Okay.
Yeah, just going back a moment to what Tom was saying to us. He mentions this Michael O'Leary, Sergeant Michael O'Leary. This is a copy of a recruiting poster that came out after Michael was awarded the VC. After he became a war hero, these posters were used. They're recruitment posters, trying to get Irishmen to sign up. It says, "An Irish hero. One Irishman defeats 10 Germans." And there's Michael at his cross. "Sergeant Michael O'Leary, Irish Guards. Have you no wish to emulate the splendid bravery of your fellow countrymen? Join an Irish regiment today." So that was just an add-on to what Tom was saying. Michael O'Leary actually was born just outside Inchigeelagh. And there is a plaque now in his local school in Kilbarry. The O'Leary clan contributed towards the cost of that. Back in 1999, 4 of his elderly sons attended the clan gathering. There was a mention of Art O'Leary, and this is a statue of Art in his uniform.
Well, actually, Jerry, let me jump in there. That's really not a statue. That's really a whiskey decanter, correct?
Well, Irish Mist, Ireland's legendary liqueur. Yes, but when these came out in the 1960s, 1970s, they did contain an Irish liqueur. They were sold like that.
What? It's empty?
There is one of these down in Inchiquila. You may have got a glimpse of it earlier. There are a few of them around. I'm curious. I see that I think Lucas is back. If you want to, got you, Lucas? Are you ready?
He just needs he needs to unmute.
Can you?
There, okay. As soon as he starts talking and the music plays, he should pop up.
Yes.
Right.
Everybody's unmuted again.
Thank you, Lucas. Thank you, Lucas.
All right. Thank you, Lucas. That dance was called the St. Patrick's Day dance.
Hang on a minute. Where'd you go? Jeremy, can you oh, there you are. Let me unmute you. You there? Jeremy?
Yes.
Lucas, thank you so much. For all of us on the call, Dermot didn't mention it, but that happens to be his grandson that just performed for us. Now, I told your grandfather to pay you $5 or €5, so you can count this as your first paid gig that went to 5 countries over 9 different time zones. So well done, young man. Well done.
Thank you.
Okay. Dimmer, you want to wrap that up? You got anything to add?
We'll leave it at that. Is Rita Wilson here from Australia?
I see a Rita on here.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, is it Rita would have done second? No, not to worry. I was looking for Rita O'Leary Wilson. Okay, no worries. We skip that too.
Well, hang on. Well, there's a Rita on the list, right? Let me unmute her. Unmute. It won't let me unmute for some reason.
That's okay. It's okay.
She might be blocking. So, okay.
Patrick, this is Tom. I can't remember if it was on the agenda, but I can do that 360 tour of the pub here.
You know what? I think that would be a great idea because the next step is to go to the around the room. So yes, by all means, let's all. Tom, thank you so much. Let's get a tour of Joe's pub, please.
And Dermot's showing us an Irish cream that's named for an O'Leary. Is that correct, Dermot? Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to take my laptop then. We are here at Ground Zero for the O'Leary reunion. And here is Joe behind the counter. And the lovely Anne has just escaped. They've added some what are called snugs, the old style short little walls that separate areas of the pub, that you'll recognize all the old photographs. And speaking of photographs, we have a special one down here across from the fireplace. And that is the first O'Leary gathering. Let me see if I can get this with you.
We can see that. Very cool.
Artifacts here, the sword that was found. I don't know if you can see any of that. But here we are in the pub. And what is another O'Leary gathering photograph? No, another O'Leary gathering. Not sure what year that was. 2000. Yeah. And we're looking at our South American friends, Margarita Ruiz Roca, and her friends at the recent gathering. And if you look out the window, you can see our flags from the village. Here we go. So, yeah, we're happy. Now, the last 6 months, that if it's raining, not to worry, the sun's about to come out. And if the sun's out, it's about to rain. So, anyway, so here we are in O'Leary's, in the Creedon pub, which is the O'Leary Grand Central here. But, next year, in addition to Creedon's, we'll be in the castle, in your castle. All right, Patrick.
Thank you, sir. I forgot about that tour. I do appreciate it. We all should be there instead of it sitting in our homes watching this computer screen. Okay. The next part of what we're going to try to do here, and this is going to get a little of a challenge, is we want to get everybody a chance to talk about their connection to the O'Leary Camp Clan. So I've got a list here, and again, I literally want to try to start with the Australians and move east, just because they got up so early. But we just want you to speak briefly about your connection to the Klan. Years ago, when I served on the school board, I had to address a large high school graduation. I had never done that before. A principal gave me the best piece of advice, and I've used it many times. He told me when I gave my talk, don't be good, be brief. So nobody cares what you're saying. They're just trying to listen for their kid's name. I would encourage everybody to do the same thing. We don't need your life history. Just try to be brief so we can try to get everybody on. Again, if you all of a sudden see your third cousin, you use the chat function to reach out to them. I'm going to go first just to give you some kind of idea of what we hope that everybody will kind of try to hold to. My connection to the O'Leary clan started in Mill Street, County Cork, which is about 20 miles from Inchigila. My great-great-grandparents, Patrick O'Leary and Joanne Sullivan, had 8 children. Their fourth child and oldest son, John Patrick, was my great-grandfather. He was born in May of 1856 and came to America in the mid-1880s. He married an Elizabeth Carnes in Chicago, Illinois in January of 1893, but quickly moved to Wilmington, Ohio, which is right outside Cincinnati. And what brought him to that part of the United States is his sister Honora lived there with her husband, John Dennehy. My great-grandparents had 2 children, a son and a daughter. Their son was my grandfather, Patrick John O'Leary. So that is my very brief connection. So now, what I'm going to try to do here is start with my Australian folks. And let's see if we could just unmute your own mic. Nolene, am I saying your first name correctly? Barrett?
Yep. Yep.
Okay.
Nolene.
You're up.
Hi, how are you all? I originally come from New Zealand. I've been in Australia 15 years. So my O'Learys come over from Tralee in 1874. My great-grandfather Cornelius, his brother John, Daniel and sister Margaret all came. And their parents were John and Margaret O'Sullivan. Other than that, we don't know a lot about John and Margaret, but I know quite a bit from what they came when they came to New Zealand. What else? They all had big families. And what else would you like to know?
No, that's good. That's good. That's fine. That's what we're looking for. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
My next person is Julie. Are you on the call? And can you unmute you? There you go.
Hi. Hi. Okay, so my O'Leary family came from Kurraglass just out of Inchigeelagh. So I don't know a lot other than my father, Tim O'Leary. He was born in 1934. His parents were Alan, maiden name O'Sullivan, and Daniel O'Leary. And my father, Tim O'Leary, came out to Australia. He was the only one of the family. Came out to Australia in 1951 when he was about 21. And went back a few times, back and forth, and stayed out here. So that's how I'm here in Australia.
All right.
So,
Well,
yeah.
thank you much.
Thank you.
Is Paul Harris? I don't see him on my list. And the challenge I'm having with this list is it's alphabetically, but some people have their first name first and their last name. Oh, there's Paul. Are you there?
Yep, I'm here. But hi everyone. I'm in Melbourne, but my family came from, I think the O'Learys in my family came from Tralee as well. And they settled in Adelaide in the 1850s, so Irish family on my dad's and my mum's side all left around that time. Unfortunately, I don't know very much about them, only that my great-grandfather, Tom Harris, he lost his father at a young age, and so he was raised by his mother and his grandmother, Mary O'Leary. That's pretty much all I know about them.
Well, thank you for sharing. Rita Wilson, are you on the call? Let's see if I can find her on my list. Unmute. Rita, are you there? I can't unmute her microphone for some reason. Huh. Well, then I'm going to go to our Hawaii contingent. Jacqueline, are you on the call there?
I'm here.
Ah, there you are. All right.
Aloha. Good morning. For us, it's morning. It's 6 o'clock and my daughter's here with me. Our connection to the O'Learys, my mother is Jewel Trinity O'Leary. She was raised in the Philippines. Her father is Humphrey Patrick O'Leary. Lots of Humphreys and Patricks, I understand that. And he was raised in the Philippines. He was a noted prisoner of war during the Philippine-American War, received some commendations from that, and his father, Humphrey Patrick O'Leary Sr., was born in Ohio. And what brought my great-great-grandfather from Ohio to the Philippines was he volunteered for the United States Army recruitment to the Philippines, and when he got there and finished his tour, he decided to stay. And so my connection to that is, and of course there's much past that. My mom, my brothers did go to one of the O'Leary reunions in Ireland, I'm not sure, a handful of years ago, and my hope is that one day I can join you all there and bring my own family. Mahalo, thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, Darren, I still don't see Maureen on the call. Maureen, are you on the call? I don't see her on the list here either. Nope, okay, we can skip that one. Fleming, Garrett Fleming, I know you're here somewhere. Can you give us a few words? Can you unmute your mic?
Yeah, it's Jer. I'm Geraldine,
Jer.
but I go by Jer. I'm in Washington State. My father's mother was Annie O'Leary from Gorda Flooding, which is just near Ballingeary. And my father was the only member of the family to leave Ireland. My dad was the immigrant, so all my cousins are still there. Got to go to Ballingeary when I was little and didn't appreciate it, so we were supposed to go this year, but I'll see you guys all next year, so that'll be good.
Well, thank you. Patricia Ford, Pat Ford, you on there? I know you're on my list. Let me unmute you. There you are.
Hello. Hi, everybody. I was at the reunion last year and I had such a great time. I highly recommend it. It was so much fun. Joe and Patrick and Dermot were wonderful hosts. So definitely recommend it. My connection is twofold, actually. My grandmother, my mother's mother, was born in Inchigeela, and she was a Deneen, and she married Cornelius Francis O'Leary from Ballingeary, and they didn't meet until they became friends in San Francisco. So they didn't know each other in Ireland, but they both emigrated when they were in their 20s to San Francisco, and my grandfather was a streetcar conductor in San Francisco. So not the cable cars, the streetcars, but anyway, they had 7 kids, and my mom was the youngest of twins, and so that's my connection to the O'Learys. I'm just the last name Ford. Actually, I'm also Irish on my father's side. His family was from Tipperary, so I'm Irish on both sides. And if anyone wants to see the Ford O'Leary family tree on Ancestry, I'm also on there, and I see a couple of my third cousins on here that we're all related from the Ballingeary connection. So anyway, hi everyone. I hope to see you next year in Inchigeela.
Thanks, Pat. All right. Rita, are you there?
I think so.
Yeah.
Am I? Patrick?
All we have is a black screen with Rita on it.
Oh my God.
Yes. Well, hang on a minute. Let me see if I can find you. You need to turn on your camera. See if I can find you on my list and send you. I really wish everybody would have had last names first, because this is extreme. Oh, here we go. I think that's all right. I'm gonna send you a request to start video. Did it pop up?
Yeah.
All right, click on that.
Yeah.
No Joy. Your camera's not working. We can hear you, but your camera's not working. So.
Okay, Patrick. Can I talk?
Oh yeah, we can hear you. Go ahead. It's your show.
Okay. Tom Leary and I are actually related through our great-great-grandparents. Jeremiah Leary and Lewis Leary were brothers. My great-grandfather was John Leary, who came to Australia, and later followed by a brother, Cornelius Leary. And basically, I'm the product, one of them anyway. We had an Australian reunion in North Queensland last year, before the coronavirus, of course, and all the living O'Learys at the time were there except me. I hurt my neck. But anyway, sadly, since then I've lost one of my uncles, but there were 11 in my mother's family. My mother was the 4th born, and now there are only 2 left. But my connection to Inchigeela is where my great grandfather was born. And I believe Tom can tell you it's very close to the actual castle that my husband Dennis and I have been sitting here watching all night, and it was wonderful. And hi Tom, love to see you again, and it was just wonderful. Thank you so much. It's all been an absolute beautiful thing. And of course Joe in the hotel where we stayed in 2013 for the clan gathering. So it's wonderful. Thank you so much. We're all in a bit of a lockdown here as well, but blessings to all, and thank you.
All right, Rita, thank you so much. I don't see Julie McDonald on the list, but let me skip down. And Norma Mulligan, I see Norma on here. So, Rita, you need to mute your mic, unless I can find it here quick enough. Norma, are you on there?
Yes.
Okay, well, take it away.
Okay. Well, top of the morning, Smoky Francisco, which is quite. The air is not great. And I'm not O'Leary, so I would over to my husband Patrick Mulligan and tell you of his O'Leary connection.
We're there in 2015.
Yes.
So we have a picture next to you, Patrick. At dinner.
Oh yeah, I remember you. Absolutely.
So on and so forth. German, the other side. Basically, my mother was Catberry, came from Bantry. Actually, the family farm is a golf course right now. Her father was O'Leary. He was the youngest, and I think that farm that's now the golf with gentlemen. I think there's 9 or so. I have a special interest in you because six of my mother's family went to New Zealand, so on and so forth. Names like McMullen, I think was descended from Annie O'Leary, and names like Cahill and Burke were names that I keep looking at the heritage thing on for New Zealand. Don't see anybody from New Zealand, but I we were down there a few years ago and tried to look them up and so on and so forth. I was born in New York, but I grew up in Ireland, so I speak a little Gaelic and so on and so forth. So many of the Irish situations I'm very familiar with. We live in San Francisco, have since 1967. And actually, this beautiful lady next to me, and we have a son called Patrick. Here.
Patrick, thank you so much. You're actually the person who explained Irish football to me there in the pub.
Oh.
Good. Probably did a lousy job, but anyway.
No, we were at Guggen Bar. There was some All Ireland thing going on. We all went into the pub, and I had no idea what the hell I was watching, but you got me straightened out. So thank you.
Okay.
Let me meet you back here. Is Lynn Reardon? Did Lynn make it on the call? I see a Lynn, but that's all I see. Let me unmute.
There, I just unmuted myself.
Okay, go ahead. We can't
Great.
see you. Well, we got some big.
Thank you, Patrick. Is there any way that you might be able to get me visible? I've tried everything I can think of at my end.
I can try, but go ahead and start talking. You might get a request from me here in a second. Go ahead.
Great, okay. So, yes, and my cousin Laura Foose is on the call too. If I say anything that needs correction when she talks, I'm sure she can, okay, I see your message. Start my video.
There you go. We see you.
All right, super. So my great-great-grandparents, Daniel O'Riordan and Hannah O'Leary, came over here from Inchigeelagh. They emigrated from Inchigeelagh in the early 1850s, but at slightly different times in the 1850s. And they had a farm in Fremont, Ohio, and 9 children, one of which I'm descended from. And let's see, their parents were Joannis or John Leary, I don't know if I'm saying that right, and Honora Gagan. And there was a Honora Leary at her baptism in 1832, and I'm curious to know what kind of relation that might have been. So, yeah, that's basically the O'Leary connection. And I I sent a chat to everyone because I'm a Celtic harpist and I wanted you to be able to see my website so you could go and look at our music video of my husband here, Dennis Hotchkiss. The video of that we made of Star of the County Down, one of our favorite Irish songs, and here's the website also. Did you see that?
Well, say it.
LuminasHeart.com is the duo name in the website. LuminasHeart.com.
Okay, anything else?
Well, I'm actually a descendant of the Brennans from Kilkenny, but we were there in 2015 in Shigila, and we had a great time.
Yes, thanks to Joe Creedon. We just happened to show up. It was a miracle. We were on an Irish tour and happened to show up on the Saturday of your reunion. You were out having a tour, and Joe invited us to stay for dinner, so we met some of you at that dinner in 2015.
Okay. Well, thank you. All right, I'm going to mute you again. And then actually let me go back to Ireland. Sheila McNamara, I know I see you on the list. Are you there? Can you unmute your mic? There we go, I see it. Go ahead, Sheila.
Hi, hello, Pat. I'm actually coming from Newcastle, County Wicklow in Ireland, as I said already. Okay, so my connection with the O'Learys go back to John O'Leary, who was our paternal great-great-grandfather. That was in the early 18s, okay? We can also track back to our maternal, okay, great-great-grandfather, and that goes back into the late 17s. So we go back quite a bit. They all came from the Inchigeelagh parish. Okay, my father was a Michael J. O'Leary, and he was born in Cailbon Moor, Ballingeary, which is next to Inchigeelagh. That's probably our connection really with the O'Learys. Many thanks for this wonderful occasion, Pat. You know, it's been great to get together, and to Pat for his great talk on the castle, to Lucas for the great dancing, and of course for Joe for the singing, okay? Myself and my sisters were in Inchigeelagh last year, where we also did a bit of Irish dancing, a bit of two-hand reel, and then we all joined in the Siege of Venice, if anybody was there last year. Okay, lovely to see you all, and many thanks, looking forward to next year.
I remember you at the gathering. Matter of fact, I think you gave some dancing lessons to a few people.
Exactly.
Not to me. The only thing musical I can do is play the radio. Aaron Sears, I see you on my list. Are you there? Can you unmute yourself? There you go.
I'm here. My voice might be a little rusty. We've got a lot of smoke right now, so from the wildfires. My connection to O'Leary's is my maiden name is O'Leary. My dad is an O'Leary from Pennsylvania. My third great-grandfather came from the Inchigeelagh area. He married Ellen Desmond in Dunmanway in 1829. So that's about as far back as we can go right now. They had 8 children. They immigrated to Canada and then went into New York. And from there, my second great-grandfather went from New York to Pennsylvania. Timothy O'Leary, who married Mary Ann Hobart. And then my great-grandparents are George O'Leary, who married Bridget O'Donnell from County Kerry in Pennsylvania. And then my grandfather was in Pennsylvania, in northeast Pennsylvania. It's actually the town that is in northwest Pennsylvania on Lake Erie. So that's where we're from. I'm from Michigan. My dad moved to Michigan, so. But we are out in Oregon, and we made the great escape from the wildfires yesterday. So that's it.
Well, Aaron, thanks so much, and stay safe.
Thank you.
Okay, the only Smith on my list here, so that'll be an easy one to find. How do I? Okay, you already unmuted. Go ahead.
It's pronounced Donice. D-O-N-I-C-E, yes.
Thank you.
First, I want to thank you very much, Patrick. How I found you was the fact that you happen to have the same name as my 3 times great-grandfather, Patrick O'Leary, who was married to Esther Byrne. I also wanted to say that I want to be able to make connection on the GoFundMe with Tom, and the reason why is my journey with the O'Learys actually started when I was a teenager in my 20s, and I heard a story from my mom that when I was a little girl in the 60s, my grandmother, her name was Mary Smith, her mother was a McGrath, and her great-grandfather was an O'Leary, that she kept getting letters from Ireland stating there was some property there that was like a castle that had back taxes, and would she pay all the back taxes? And she kept throwing the letters away saying, well, why would I want something that I have to put electricity and water in? I'm very happy, well-to-do here in California. And so she kept throwing the letters away. And so we never really found out what that was all about, except they had traced her from Ireland to my mother's mother, my grandmother, and said there's back taxes owing, there's a family estate. Now, we don't know if it was part of the Byrnes or the O'Learys. We heard it was the O'Learys, and it came from the O'Learys through the McGrath. McGraw. I don't know. My history with the O'Learys is that my great-great-great-grandfather, Patrick O'Leary, married Esther Byrne. The family had immigrated over to Ontario, Canada, to Erinsville during the potato famine. And that, from what I understand, they had become very good friends with the Flynns, the Byrnes, and the McGraths, who had left the Cooligan estate, or Fitzwilliams Cooligan estate, I guess. And when they came over to Ontario, Erinsville, Patrick O'Leary and Esther Byrne O'Leary moved down to New York and Michigan. And one of their daughters, married a guy by the name of Noyd, N-O-U-D, and they moved to Oregon. And we lost the family up in Upper Oregon. We don't know where the family is, but the last name that she married into was N-O-U-D. Patrick O'Leary is said to be the son, my great-great-grandfather, Patrick O'Leary, is said to be the son of Johanna, and that he is the great-grandson of Lord and Lady Monroe. But we haven't been able to find out where they're from. We heard that the border of Ireland and Scotland kept moving. So, but that is my O'Leary connection. My great-great-grandmother, Margaret Mary Gertrude O'Leary, married to James McGraw, had my great-grandmother Hilda, and had my grandmother. So that's my connection.
Well, thank you so much. And the name Patrick, I'm convinced that the Irish opened up a Bible, picked out about 7 names, and named every kid in their family with those 7 names. Every family has a Patrick, every family has a John, every family has a Margaret,
James.
a Joanne. Yeah,
James.
It's maddening. It's maddening. So my next person is Larry Brewer, and on deck, to use a good baseball analogy, would be Lee. So Larry, are you there?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, great. My family, my mother's grandfather, John Leary, was born in County Cork in 1832. Came to America in 1851, just in time to be in the Civil War with the Wisconsin 17th Infantry for 4 years. Then finally settled down and had 7 children. The 6th one was Charles O'Leary, that would be my grandfather. And he had 12 children. My mother was the 7th of the 12. And this is the O'Leary family reunion that happens in Janesville, Wisconsin every June, the 4th Sunday in June. And when my mother hosted it the last time in 2016, I was commissioned by her to build a barn quilt, which I'm going to send this out on the chats, but I'll send it out on the chat so you'll have a good version of it. But it's an 8-foot by 8-foot barn quilt. It's up on my farm's cattle barn, and it's an O'Leary barn quilt, and it kind of highlights the O'Leary history of my mother's family and the journey to Wisconsin. And then a few great things about Inchigeela in there. So I'll send it out on the chat so you all can see it. So that's what we have from Northern Illinois this morning.
Larry, thank you so much. Lee, how am I saying your name last?
That's correct. That's correct. And can you hear me?
I can hear you and see
Great. Well, thank you, Patrick. Actually, my full name is Lee Charles Patrick Haight, so it goes along with your theory. But I'm here representing, I just found out I was an O'Leary a week ago. my cousin Julie McDonald, who is from Otis, I think, Oregon. She and her husband are fleeing the fires right now, and she told me that I'm an O'Leary, and we are, all of my cousins who I'm representing here are grandchildren of John and Mabel Maine McDonald, and that goes back 4 generations to Honora O'Leary of Enchiliga, I believe, and so that's really all I know about it, and I really appreciate it. This has been a lot of fun and very, very interesting.
Well, thank you so much. First of all, let me make a comment about everybody's being so well disciplined. I mean, this has been great. We're moving right along. The next person on my list is, I guess, Jim O'Leary. Then after that would be Michael, and then Steve. But Jim, are you out there? Can you unmute yourself?
I'm here, thank you. Appreciate you doing this. It's really been a lot of fun. My background with the O'Learys is they all came from the Beara Peninsula initially. I suppose they migrated down from Michigila and Macroom. I can trace a lot of DNA connections back to that area, but I can't really link anybody because they're so far back. But I've got my 3 ex-great-grandparents to the Beara Peninsula. Their children were both O'Learys, so I have a lot of O'Learys that I have connection to. That was Seamus and Honora O'Leary. They had a son named Michael O'Leary, who actually went to Butte, Montana, and met his wife, Bridget Harrington, moved back to Castletown Bear area and had 12 children. And then my grandfather was one of those children who came to America back around 1928, and that's who I'm part of.
You know, Jim, there is somebody sitting behind you there in the room.
Oh, is she? That's my beautiful wife, Jamie.
Well played. Michael O'Leary, there's only one on there. Mike, are you there? Can you unmute yourself?
This one?
That's it. Oh.
Hello. Hi, everyone. I'm Michael O'Leary from Gloucester, Massachusetts, originally from South Dakota, which is where my O'Leary family history kind of ends up. I was supposed to be with you all last year. My 2 sisters, Kitty Higgins and Maureen O'Leary, were with you. Some of you may have met them. And I had to bow out kind of on short notice. I'm really sorry I didn't make it. Was hoping to come this year, but I made it. I'm here. So my O'Leary history goes back to County Kerry. My great-great-grandfather, James O'Leary, emigrated probably during the famine to Dunnes. I noticed you said Ontario. That's where my family ended up, in Watford, Ontario. And I have a Johanna in my family as well. My great-great-grandmother, Johanna Ring, and I've seen their tombstone in Canada, and it says that James was from Kerry, and that Johanna was from Cork. And it's kind of, I understand Ring is more of a Kerry name, and obviously O'Leary is more of a Cork name, but I know there's a lot of O'Learys up over the Cork-Kerry border. My great-grandfather John was born in Ontario. He was the oldest of 10 children. At some point he went out to Colorado, I think drawn by the silver rush and maybe a gold rush. And my grandfather James was born there in Nevadaville, Colorado, in a mining town in the 1870s. And then for some reason, I think maybe because Johanna had passed away, they had to go back to Canada to help on the farm, and because there were still a lot of young children there. And then at some point, my grandfather James went out to South Dakota to work on the railroad, and then he was followed at some point by his father John, my great-grandfather, and the two of them founded a general store. And if you go to the chat, I posted I was inspired by Tom's presentation with all the O'Leary noted O'Learys. I posted a photo of the facade of that store, which is still intact. It's amazing because the store was built in the early 1900s, and it's still there. And that's where I trace my father was born there. And it's a town called Flandreau, South Dakota. It's in the eastern side of South Dakota. It was originally a French and Native American trading post. And then I was actually born in Nebraska, but we ended up back in South Dakota. And now I live in Massachusetts. So it's just fascinating to hear all this history. Dennis, I also have a Gertrude in my family. My father's sister was a Gertrude. So, and Aaronsville and Watford are on either side of Ontario. I looked them up on Google Maps. They're about 4 hours. I was hoping they were going to be like right next door to each other, thinking that maybe our families had some connection, but you never know. So, and I do. I'm a teacher, but I also do Irish music. I'm a singer. If I get over there next year, Joe, I hope to share some songs with you, and look forward to that. One of these years I'll get there, I hope. So, thanks so much. Thanks Patrick and Dearman and Joe and everyone for putting this on. It's fantastic.
Well, Michael, thanks so much. And as far as singing, Joe could use some help on the bus because there's a lot of songs that we have to do on the bus. I don't see Steve O'Leary on my list here. So, hey, Rosie, I know you're out there. I saw you earlier. Matter of fact, it looks like you had a whole room full of people. Can you give us your background?
I'm just going to show you everybody. We have my brother Tim Leary here.
Hi guys.
I'm Rosie. My sister Liz. My mom, Eamon, Maya, daughter. And this is a photograph of my dad, Timothy Cornelius, who started us out in the whole thing. So Tim's going to speak, I think.
Well, the O'Learys from Inchigeelagh, from our side, left in 1798. There was a rebellion in Ireland at that time, and we were working for a particular MP that was taken to London. So we ended up in the UK, living in the East End of London, and our name became Leary. So we are Learys rather than O'Learys. So our ancestor, Jeremiah O'Leary, who's related to Peter O'Leary, who we talked about earlier on, and then through his son Michael, my great-great-grandfather James Cornelius, who came back then to Ireland in 1916. There was another rebellion, as you would know, and he married another Irish lady, and he settled in Ireland. And subsequently, my great-grandfather and my grandfather Albert, and then my dad Timothy Cornelius. So
that's Albert there, with my dad Timothy Cornelius. So the names in the family are Jeremiah and Cornelius, and the Cornelius has come down like the last 200 years, really. And we were lucky that we went down and met Joe Creedon in Inchigeelagh, and he showed us all the records. And then we met Peter, and we went up to his house, and we did DNA and found out we were related to Peter. So he connected us into that part of the family tree. So we know that our family left Inchigeelagh probably about 1732. They left a place called Muina Madra. It was a hill fort, a ring fort, and they went to Dunmanway, to Acres, and they were related to Jeremiah O'Leary, the butter merchant, Daniel Francis, Daniel Florencio, who we're very proud of, and so on and so forth.
So very proud Dubs, but we're also very proud Corkonians, and we're very proud Irish people, and very proud Learys. Yeah. So
and we've been to lots of the O'Leary gatherings, and we had a great time. And my dad passed away last year, so we want to come next year just in memory of him as well.
Rosie, thanks so much. The thing I remember about your dad, I forget what year he was there, probably 15 or 16, that when we went across that bridge over to and I use the word bridge very loosely, over to the castle. For those who don't know, there was a footbridge to the castle from the roadway, but it had been damaged. And I mean not bumped into. It was twisted and trees growing up. Yeah. And I'm surprised nobody did end up in the water. But your father, I mean, he wasn't, I don't know, he wasn't a 20-year-old man, but man, he went right across that thing like it was nobody's business.
And he had Parkinson's as well.
Yeah. But Dad, I suppose going to the O'Leary gatherings is amazing, and he met Tom and Don and the whole gang, and they were a whole gang of O'Leary men, and it was fantastic, and they all looked like cousins. And Brian O'Leary.
And the other thing, Rosie, I remember about Rosie, you did a really nice presentation about the military, the people in Ireland that joined the British military. And that was a very interesting thing. And the other thing is Rosie is an Irish speaker. She speaks in native. I heard too of you were conversing with somebody else, and I was like, what in God's name are they saying? But you're very good. Your language skills.
And our name is Lara, which is the Irish, which means calf herder. You've heard of a sheep herder, like a shepherd. The Laras were calf herders, which were very important in Celtic Ireland. It's the cattle, so that's
well, Rosie, thank you so much.
Thanks very much for organising to the committee, and Patrick and Don and everybody, and Tom, and especially Dermot. Yeah. So,
did you see I had a picture of your husband in one of my slides?
Yeah.
He was up delivering, that sermon that day at Guggenbar. So no, it wasn't Guggenbar. It was somewhere else. But okay, well, let's move along. The next person I think is, I see a Lee on there. Lee Winkler, are you on there?
My friend was in the room.
Rosie, don't forget to mute.
Oh, mute him.
Okay.
Oh, there you are, Lee.
Okay, I'm unmuted, yeah. Here's my sign that I made from Burnet, Texas. I noticed there was somebody else from Texas too, or from Austin, which is, we're about an hour northwest of Austin in Texas. My ancestry for the O'Learys would go back to Hannah O'Leary. She was my great-grandmother. She married Daniel Reardon, so she became Hannah O'Leary Reardon. And Lynn Reardon, who you spoke a little while ago, is, let's see, how can I say this, is my first cousin's daughter. And Lynn and I got to meet each other, and Lynn has gone, I know, to Inchigila, and she's traced the family back to that area. And actually, as she mentioned, when she went up, she and Dennis went over there, they actually came just coincidentally on the day of the reunion, which was just fabulous. So she's shown me a lot of slides that she had. She and her husband came to visit us, and so that was really nice. But I always remember growing up, heard about County Cork and County Killarney, and that's where Hannah O'Leary's ancestors would have been from, and they trace it back to there. So this is real exciting. I just found out about this this week. Lynn told me about that you were doing this reunion, and so thank you so much. This has been great.
I appreciate it. Thanks so much, Lynn. Francis, I'm going to try to put you up next, and then our Puerto Rico contention. But Francis, are you there?
Is it Francis Ahern?
Yeah, that's it, Francis. Yeah.
Hi. Can you see me?
I can see you and hear you.
Okay. So I live in Clonmel, County Tipperary, and you've already been speaking to my sister Sheila McNamara in Wicklow. So basically I would have the same story, but maybe with a slight little difference. As she already told you, we have connections on both sides of the O'Learys. My father, as she already told you, was born in a place called Caleway, which is between Inchigila and Ballingeary. So we still have relations along the lake road there. So it's very nice we can actually go back still and visit our present day relations. Another side of the O'Leary connection that we don't know that much about is that my great grandmother was one of the O'Leary Riachs from the South Lake Road. And her father was a Cornelius Leary, her mother was a Bridget Connell. And there was 8 children in that family, and she did actually marry a Jeremy O'Leary, who then went on to the male side of my family. But what I suppose a little bit of a mystery is that the rest of the family on the O'Leary Riachs seem to have disappeared from the South Lake Road. We did hear that they went to America, but we don't know anything about them. So we did visit the South Lake Road there last year when we were down, and there are no O'Learys at all living there. So while we know all about the male side of our connection to our father, we really know very little about the O'Leary Riachs. And we could possibly be speaking to them today because we do know they went to America. So just to say hello if they're there, but unfortunately we don't know them. And thank you very much for organising it. A lovely evening. And that's
Francis, thank you so much. All right, let's go to Puerto Rico. Can you unmute your mic for Alicia? You there? Hello? See if I can try to do it. I see it. Are you there, Puerto Rico? Hello? I see your mic, but I don't.
Can you hear me?
Oh, there you go. You there? Oh, there you are.
Can you hear me? You can hear me? Can everyone hear me?
Yes, it's just you got your signal's kind of weak, but just go ahead and keep speaking, and you'll pop back up.
Okay, perfect. Well, it's a pleasure to meet everyone. I'm really nervous. It's my first time meeting so many O'Learys. I found the O'Leary clan because I've been searching my grandfather. My connection to the O'Learys is from my grandfather, from my mother's side. I'm from Puerto Rico, and we're the
Your screen froze up on you. I don't know if you can hear me, but the screen froze.
Can you guys hear me?
Can.
Can you hear me?
Yes, now we can.
Now you can hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I'll start again. I'm sorry. I guess I don't know if it's from my end, if I have bad internet connection. Okay, so let me introduce myself again. I'm from Puerto Rico, Fajardo. My connection with the O'Learys is from my mother's side, from her father. I've been searching for my grandfather for a very long time. It's a little bit emotional. I'm very excited. It's my first time meeting so many O'Learys. So it's a long story, but I'll make it short. My grandfather, his parents came from Ireland to California in the States, and he was born in California. My grandfather's name is George O'Leary, and he enlisted in the U.S. Navy at 18 years old, and he went to Puerto Rico. He was stationed there in the Roseville. He met my grandmother there. Her name was Isabel, and they married secretly. He didn't tell his parents that he was going to get married. So they married, and legally married, and they had 3 children. My mother, my uncle, and my aunt. And then in 1965, he disappeared. He left his wife, which is my grandmother, and his 3 children behind. So they'd never seen they never seen him again. So he disappeared. So he's my only living grandfather. So that's my connection to the O'Learys. I'm trying to just find my grandfather and any relatives, aunts, uncles, cousins. My mom and my aunt, my uncle wants to know if they have siblings as well, because apparently they don't know about us. His family weren't happy that he married a Puerto Rican. So we're kind of
We lost your connection again.
Invisible, like no one knows about it.
Your connection's going in and out on you. I'm gonna mute you, and we'll try to come back to you if you can move maybe in the house to another location.
Only the Larry is here. Thank you.
All right, thanks. Judy, Canada, Judy, you there?
I'm here. Can you hear us?
Yes.
Okay. So this is the O'Leary over here. It's Mike O'Leary from Nova Scotia. In Nova Scotia, we say, sociable. I'm glad you got to me because I'm having a little Guinness. It's 5 o'clock somewhere. So can you hear me all right still?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm the genealogist in the family, and so I started tracing Mike after we were when we knew we were going to the clan gathering in 2018. We did Mike's DNA and had a real struggle trying to find his connection to Ireland. We knew his connection here in Nova Scotia. Just this year, and I haven't validated it, but it seems that, and I heard somebody else mention a Jeremiah, but it seems that we have connection. It's a Jeremiah Leary from Macroom, and he was married to a McGrath, Anne McGrath. So we have to do a little more digging. That was mid-1700s. From there, I'm not sure about Jeremiah, but Jeremiah's son, if that's the right connection, William O'Leary, came to Gaspereau, Nova Scotia, and married into a British family called the Caldwells. And from there, we go down through to Mike's great-grandfather, who we can't find anything about, really. We think he was born out of wedlock from a female O'Leary. And then to Mike's dad, Foster O'Leary, who had 13 kids. So Mike is one of the 13 kids. We were at the clan gathering 2 years ago and had a ball. While the DNA that we did for Mike didn't produce a whole lot of matches, his strongest match, I think, was to Diarmid. And but hey, Beth, because Beth and I are like sisters from another mister, and she and I actually have a DNA match. Might be from my Balches, who are from Massachusetts. So anyone in Massachusetts, my family maiden name Balches from Beverly, Mass. So hi to all those in Mass. We did have one O'Leary in Mike's family, James Otis, who went to Southborough, Massachusetts. So this would have been William's grandson, so in the 1800s. So James Otis O'Leary went to Southborough, Mass. Don't know much more about that. But just wanted to say thanks to everybody for putting this together. Thanks, Patrick. Hi to Joe. Thanks very much. Thanks to Tom for the stories. And to Diarmid always. And we will see you guys next year.
Thanks, Judy. And Judy was 2 years ago, and she is the mother of name tags.
Yes.
She ran around, made sure everybody had a name tag, and in the next year, we went to the formal professional name tags. So she's that's her legacy. Let's skip down to Florida. And Bonnie, I think you are still on my list. Can you unmute yourself and give us your background? Let me see. Oh, there you are. Bonnie, are you there? Try to.
How about now?
Gotcha.
Okay. Hi, everybody. It's great to see O'Leary faces from wall to wall. My earliest documented relative is Thomas O'Leary, who married Catherine Downey in St. Finbarrs and showed the residence at that time to be in Blackrock, Cork. 2 years later, I found that they had no children because they're found on the Wales census. And then they had a slew of kids, including my great-grandfather, Michael. I found that they worked in Wales when the mines were operating and then went to Staines, Middlesex, when they needed to make up work time and pick whatever was there as agricultural laborers. They spent quite a time there. I have my grandfather from Michael was his father, Michael and Julia Kane, were very prolific and had 6 children, and my grandfather, who happened to be William Jeremiah, was born in the Union Workhouse in Staines. And his father died when he was 4 months old, so I know he was the youngest in that family. Well, Mom brought him back to Wales and lived with the mother-in-law for several years and then went to Liverpool. And if you've ever been at the docks there looking at this Black Sea, she loaded up these stair-step children and took all 6 of them on the boat to come to Pennsylvania. Now, the story is that my grandfather was a babe in arms. He was 5 years old. He was a pretty big babe in arms, if he was really in arms. And that he saw the Statue of Liberty, which he had very good eyesight because they came to the Port of Philadelphia. They came to Homestead, Pennsylvania, which is where Carnegie Steel Company was recruiting people to come and work in the steel mills. And I know the family all personally from that point on, from my grandfather, William Jeremiah, through his daughter, my mother, Eileen O'Leary Boyle. So I've been lucky to get back as far as the late 1830s, but my search continues. And this is for Judy and for Rosie. I happened to find, and I don't know if you can see this on my camera or not, a reward poster for Jeremiah O'Leary. There's no date on this, but the $250 reward is probably still out there because Jeremiah had violated the Espionage Act, and he became famous for doing this, and they described him as the publisher of the Bull. He was very well known in Sinn Féin movement, and he was really a dapper fellow. They said when he left he was a good dresser, and he wore, upon his leaving, a dark suit, tight-fitting. So Jeremiah is a link to some of us. It's an unusual name. I don't know if anybody wants to claim this fella or not, or at least claim your reward. Thank you for your attention. Bye.
Thanks, Bonnie. All right, let's head to Rhode Island. Michelle, are you out there? I think you're on your iPad. Our Rhode Island contingent.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you. I can see your floor.
You can see my floor? Oh, no. How about now?
I can see the wall now.
Oh, uh-huh. What happened here? Well, I'm here. Let me see. Let me get up.
I think you got your camera flipped.
Oh, do I?
Yeah. There you go.
All right, there we go. Okay. My connection to the O'Learys through my 2 times great-grandmother. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. Through my 2 times great-grandmother, Mary O'Leary, who married John O'Sullivan, and they're from Turness Pagoda, which is right outside of Inchigeela. Children came here to the United States and worked in the cotton mills and factories, and most of them passed away in the great epidemic of cholera. And that's my connection.
Well, thanks so much. Is David Boyle on the call? I don't see him on my list here. David, are you there? Okay, let me keep moving. Joan Carr, you're up, and then we're going to head back to Ireland for Gerald Colin O'Leary. But Joan, you're up.
Patrick, can you hear me?
I can. Yeah.
Okay, I entered my cell phone, so I have a better connection now.
Okay. Well, you're good. You kind of faded out, but you came back. But you got something quick that you wanted to add?
No, I wasn't sure if my message got through. If they heard.
We heard your grandfather yet? If you want to maybe do the last minute or so, go ahead.
Okay, thank you.
So go ahead.
Oh, okay, right now. Okay, I'm sorry. So I just wanted to mention that part. My grandfather left Puerto Rico in 1965 back to the States. We've been tracking him. Social Security can't give us much information about him. My grandmother was married to him legally for 50 years. It doesn't show that he remarried again. It shows that he's been moving from New York and California. Those are the places that is seen addresses to him. His father's name was Daniel, though, Daniel O'Leary. But yeah, I have high hopes of maybe finding relatives, and I hope to meet you guys next year in Ireland with my aunt. So it's a pleasure to meet everyone.
Thanks. Thanks again.
Okay. Bye-bye.
All right, Joan, you're up.
Hi. I don't know. And anyone see these?
Yes, we can. We can see him.
These are my great-grandparents, Dennis Reardon and Julia McGaw. And Dennis's parents were Owen Reardon and Nora Creedon of Inchigeelagh. They came to the United States in about 1895. And I think I'm more related to Joe Creedon than Leary's, although family names in their families are Leary, O'Leary, Kelleher, Lynch, and Tucker. And I wanted to thank Diarmid, Patrick, Joe, John Carlson, Lucas, and everyone involved with all their hard work in putting all this together. Thank you.
Thanks so much. Now, Gerald, are you there? I don't see you on my list here. Well, Gerald? All right, let me keep going here. Back to Ireland. Angela Daugherty, are you there? I see an Angela. Angela?
Yes.
Okay, you're up. It's your turn. Hello, hello? Angela, you need to unmute your mic. Angela, we can't hear you. We can't see you either.
Can you hear me now?
We can hear you now.
Yeah, can you see me?
I can't. I can send a request to start video. You should be getting a box.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Can you see now?
We can. Yeah. We can see you and hear you.
No, I'm a sister to Sheila McNamara. She was on earlier. And Frances Ahern. They were both on earlier. Now, as previously said, my father came from Caleway in Ballingeary. And every summer, he would take us back to meet our grandfather back there. And we used to go up the mountain, up to Caleway, and we just loved going up there. And then we would call to see Auntie Noni over by the lake. She was married to Hurley. He'd take us over then to visit Auntie Noni, and she was his very, very great friend. We used to stay down there for holidays, and we really got to love Inchigeelagh and to love the lakes and the area down there. Now he came to Mallow, and he had 8 children. Now sadly, there are 4 gone. Eileen died first, then Michael, 2014, and this year in July, Sean and Kathleen passed away, and God bless them. And I'd like to remember them today. Now, there's one more thing I want to say before I go. There was a woman on called Roisin earlier, and she spoke about Jerome O'Leary, the butter merchant. Now, my granduncle, he worked in the butter market in Cork. He came to Mallow. He bought the house that I'm living in. He lived in this house with my father, and I'm living in this house here now. So it was my great uncle Jerome O'Leary who came to Mallow and bought this house here in the main street in Mallow. It's the steps, Mallow, County Cork. And thank you very much for holding this. It was very interesting. And hi to all the O'Learys.
Angela, thank you so much for being here. And I don't know about the rest of us, but I could listen to you and your sisters talk forever. Your accent is just lovely. Just great.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
All right. Laura, are you on there? Laura from New York. I don't see a Laura on my list here. So I'll just maybe skip that one.
Laura sent a chat that she had to log off the call, unfortunately. She was my cousin.
Okay. Thank you for filling me in on that. I'll tell you what, hey, Don O'Leary, I know you're out there somewhere. Don, can you unmute your phone or unmute your call and let us know you're out there?
Here I am, Pat.
Don? Don or John?
This is John.
Well, go ahead. Go ahead, John.
Are you saying, did you want John?
No, that's fine. Go ahead. Go ahead.
All right. Can you see me?
I can't see you. Hang on, I'll send you the same thing. I'll send you a request to start your video. Did you get it?
I did it. I got it and I did it. No black.
We see you.
Oh, you see me. Okay. Well, I'm John O'Leary. I'm from Boston originally, but living in Naples, Florida now. I was lucky to attend the clan gathering way back in 2000 with my father, and I attended again in 2013, and it's a wonderful event. And I plan to attend this year as well, or next year. I hope I can. My family, my O'Learys, were from far west Cork, in a little townland called Derrybahala, which is just outside of Bantry, in between Bantry and Ballybahala. And we traced back the family. They were in that townland back before the famine. And I still have cousins living on the property today. My grandfather was Jeremiah, which is not really that unusual a name. Somebody just said it was unusual, but there's plenty of Jeremiahs in my family. Jeremiah was there during the famine. His son Daniel, and then my grandfather was Jeremiah as well. Jeremiah came to the States in about 1910. He worked on the docks in Charlestown, Massachusetts, outside Boston. He died in the flu pandemic in 1918. But anyway, that's our history. We've been in the same townland for a long, long time. We traced them back till the early 1800s. It's as far as we can get for now. We're in the Glana sept of the O'Learys. I'd love to hear more about the different septs of the O'Learys. If we're looking for a subject for next year's clan gathering. I know that there are several septs, different groups to differentiate the different O'Leary trees. So anyway, I hope to see you all again next year. Thank you very much for putting this on. I enjoyed it very much.
John, thank you so much. I'm going to mute you back. And now, Don O'Leary in Indianapolis. Are you there, Don?
I'm here.
All right, it's your turn.
You get me up here. First of all, I got to say, we were supposed to be over there with you, Joe, celebrating our 55th anniversary. And I remember we did our 50th. You're going to miss dancing with Jane, and I'm going to miss heckling you while you're doing it. And I got to put here. Anyway, where am I? I'm on there, right? Am I on, Pat?
Yes, you are. You're fading a little bit, but you're good now. You're good now.
Okay. My O'Learys, we go back with my great-great-grandfather, Richard O'Leary, who I'm still trying to find out where he was born. I think it was Kiskeen. And he had his parents were Michael O'Leary and a Kate Lynch. And then with Peter, God rest Peter's soul, he traced my boy, back to the 1500s. But we still have to prove that yet. And from there, I have Dumas relations in Australia. My great-great-grandfather Richard married an Anne Dumas and had son Michael, my great-grandfather, who migrated to Wales. I'm mixed in there with Bonnie somewhere. Well, they're all in Wales together. And he went to Wales just after the famine and raised a family. And they came over to Western Pennsylvania between 1880 and 1890. Now, with Peter, I'm related to Peter.
You there? You froze up.
I hated the original. That's been happening. So it must be my end.
I would say so.
Am I back on again?
You're back.
Hello. Okay. Where was I? Hey. Bonnie and I initiated the original Relative Genetics DNA program with Peter. And it grew it started with four of us. There's Mike O'Leary in Wales and Terry in England. And from there it went on and on and on until the ancestry. But, I'm still looking for Richard and Anne Dumas, where they're buried and where Richard was born. But in the meantime, next year we hope to celebrate our 66th in the Castle Club. So put us down on your list.
I certainly enjoyed all today. Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys. All right, how about Fran Hatchett from New Hampshire? I don't see you on my list, Fran. Are you there? Can you unmute your mic? I don't see. And the reason the list is some people use the first name, last name, some people, so it's not like I have a real clean list here, so I'm not completely that incompetent. I don't see Fran. All right, Beth, Pennsylvania, Beth and Ron, are you out there? Can you unmute your mic? Well, let me see here. Okay. Can't hear you yet.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. We can hear you and we can see you.
Okay. Here we are, suburban Philadelphia. Hi, everybody. First of all, I want to say thank you, Pat, to you and to Dermot and Joe and our new member of the O'Leary clan, Tom Carlson. I hope I said that last name right. And, you all did a great job. My connection started, believe it or not, in like 1993 when AOL came out, and I went onto an Irish chat group, and I happened to meet an interesting man who had the last name of O'Leary. And it just went on for years and years and years and years and years. And then we morphed to Facebook, Ancestry, Gmail. I do a Jed match. I find out, I'm related to Judy O'Leary and Tom Leary, who I can't thank enough for your help, Tom, in directing me. But as far as in Shigella, my brother Joel is on the call. He can give you more. I don't know. The only connection I have is my great-grandfather, John, married Hannah Sullivan September 7th, 1862, in St. Finbarr, South Chapel. They had 5 children in Ireland, Margaret, Mary, Julia, Edward, and then baby John. Then they came to the U.S. 1873, had 2 more, PJ and Michael, and PJ was my grandfather. But we have been told, now there's 2 schools of thought. My great-great-grandfather could be John Leary, who married a Julia Casey at Inchigeelagh, or a John Leary who married somebody near Bandon. So, but anyway, my connection with Inchigeelagh is, I do have bona fide DNA cousins there, and you're all special, and it's great, and I'm still trying to find out the Leary connection. But all I know is I went to Guggenbar, just like Donna Leary said, you will feel something. And when I didn't know anything about it, but I said, my ancestors were here. And that's just the way Inchigeelagh feels. You're walking in family land, and you're home. That's it.
Thank you. All right, let's keep moving along. We're doing real well. Eileen Kelly, Cork, are you on there, Eileen? Can you unmute your mic? Eileen?
Hi, everybody.
There you are.
There's a Humphrey O'Leary in my family. My dad's family came from outside Killarney, a place called Ballincarrig. And there was a Humphrey O'Leary in that family, because not every family had a Humphrey. So I'd just be interested to hook up with other people who have a Humphrey in their family. And I was also wondering anybody else who did the Ancestry DNA, because it's a good way of hooking up with other people who could have the same ancestry as ourselves.
Absolutely. Anything else to add?
No, that's about it. And thank you ever so much for today. You did a fantastic job, and it's great to see all the faces.
You're welcome. Thanks so much. And speaking of Joseph Leary down there in North Carolina, Joe, are you on the line there? Can you unmute your mic?
Who's here? We unmuted?
Yes, you are. I can hear you and see you.
Oh, okay. Add to a little bit, I'm just the guy who accompanies Beth with a lot of these things. But to add to some of, and I'm sure everybody has experienced the same kind of frustration, Beth had sent me a newspaper article. I contacted one of the genealogists in the newspaper article and got back Beth a third name, which is the four grandparents ago was John and Hannah Casey. And her father was from Gordafluta. So that's as far as I can get. I can't track back John at all. But we've got John and Hannah married in Shigila in 1833. And the dates of the children that I were given by this genealogist all match up. This is for Tom Carlson and for anybody else that hasn't seen me post it. We've been to Inchigila twice, but not to any of the reunions. But Claire and I, you can see this, went to the old church and renewed our wedding vows. That's still getting a reflection. Anyway,
that's it. Just tip it a little bit. Just tip it a little bit.
If you can see, that's Claire and I and our two children renewing our wedding vows. And I will leave you all with one small world of the Credens. Our parish priest in Northern Virginia was Jerry, who was Joe's late brother, who I gather passed away a few years ago. And Jerry was just a wonderful, wonderful, us running the family, how good the Credens are. So with that, there we are, and I did find the GoFundMe page for the castle.
I'm sure Tom will be glad to hear that.
Yeah.
Hey, thank you. Let's move over to the United Kingdom here in, Geraldine, are you on there? I see can you unmute your mic and talk to us?
Hello? Can you hear me?
We can hear you and see you.
Okay, this is my grandmother. Can you see her?
Yes, we can.
That's Joanna Leary, the Bold Leary, if Joe Creden is there listening, the original Bold Leary. She was born in Listowel, County Kerry, in 1886. Her father was Michael Leary. He worked in billiard halls and clubs around Kerry, so while she was young they did move about. She had a sister born in Castle Gregory, where her mother came from. They eventually ended up in Tralee, so she was brought up really in Tralee. She had a brother John. Her sister Honora, born in Castle Gregory, sadly died. She had a sister Mary, who we called Auntie Molly, and a brother Cornelius. There's a lot of Corneliuses hanging around. They came to England in 1934 with my mum and a sibling. So Joanna, my granny, married Jeremiah Hannafin. But I do have a picture of her brother John, who's another O'Leary, if we're going to keep to the O'Learys. I don't know if you can see that one. It's on my iPad.
We can.
Handsome young man here. He was in the local council. He was elected to the council. I'm having trouble getting back from their father Michael. I have his wedding certificate, and his father was a John O'Leary married to Mary Sullivan. So I think it's quite difficult to get back from that in Tralee. I've got quite a lot of DNA matches with the group. My father was a Murphy, born in County Cork, a place called Lisrobin near Kiskane. And Don O'Leary and I have got a connection through my cousin Eamon, and also a neighbour of his, Dan O'Leary, who matches up with Don quite a way back, and my cousin and myself. So I have got Learys and O'Learys on my Murphy side as well as my Kerry side. So I seem to be, like a lot of Irish people, quite a mixture of all sorts. I also have a DNA link with Beth, and we're very good friends as well as cousins. And I think actually I found a link with Judy O'Leary down in Nova Scotia too, as well as her husband. So I seem to have a link on both sides with them. So I really enjoyed myself today. It's lovely to see so many faces. Some of you are Facebook friends and I've seen your pictures, but it's really nice to hear you all talk. So love to everyone, and I'll let someone else have a go now.
Thanks, Geraldine. All right, how about a Lee Lewis? I see a Lee on here. I don't know if it's a Lee Lewis. Lee, can you from Massachusetts? Are you there, Lee? Massachusetts?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you and see you.
Okay. All right. All right, let me see. Honora O'Leary, who was born in the 1700s and died in the early 1800s, is my O'Leary connection. I was kind of sad to find out that she married a Lantry, and they are people who came over with Cromwell and were given land in West Cork. But she did manage to convert her husband, Barnaby Lantry, to Catholicism, so I think they became kind of Irishified, I guess. And Honora and, let me see, their son, I guess it would be their grandson, Thomas. Well, actually, Honora's brother was Patrick O'Leary, and he was a mill owner. Honora was apparently from Ballingarry. I thought Inchigeelagh, but no, it was Ballingarry. And the Lantry lands were around Cahara and Coolcaloor, Drimoleague and Drumla. And I'm looking forward to going to those places when I make it to Ireland. Let's see. So, Thomas, Barnaby's grandson, or maybe it was his son, early 1800s, before the famine, apparently went to town. He was a shoemaker. He went to town to buy leather and instead got on a ship to the United States and went to a place in way northern New York that's called Little Ireland, where all sorts of Irish people have settled, including all my other Irish ancestors who married into the Lantry family. So that's my connection. Lee Haight, if you're on here, we're cousins, probably fourth or fifth. I'm a cousin with Julie McDonald, and so I've got lots of history if you want to talk.
Great. Thanks.
Well, the family were known for building roads, apparently. My family, my Lantry O'Leary family in West Cork were known for building roads. And actually there's a Barney Lantry in New York who became the richest man in Kansas and built the Cog Railway up Pikes Peak.
Huh?
I think that's most of my history, and just want to thank you all for doing this, putting this together, and I'm so looking forward to coming next year.
Thanks, Lee.
Oh, I want to say also, I don't know, I think Judith Balch O'Leary is on here that she knows, but a coincidence, the oldest, Beverly is where I'm from, the oldest house in Beverly is the Balch house, and that's Judith's ancestors.
Sure she stay there someday. Hey, well, let's go to New Jersey. Dusty, are you still with us? Can you unmute your mic? You know what? I might have muted it for you. Unmute it again. There you go.
All right. Hello, everyone. Some of you may remember me from 2018 when I was in Inchigeelagh. I remember meeting Joe and Darmad and a few others. My connection to the O'Leary family is centered in Dunmanway. My grandfather was born there in 1873. His father was married there, and his grandfather, which would be my great-great-grandfather, was also married in Dunmanway. So I suspect that there are other O'Learys still living in the Dunmanway area.
And for those of you who are familiar with the sportsman Sam McGuire, his home is right outside, or his home is outside of Dunmanway in an area called Malabraca, and that's the area where my family is centered. In the United States, when my grandfather and great-grandfather came, they came through New York and settled in New Britain, Connecticut. And my grandfather moved to Massachusetts in Amherst, got married, and my father came to New Jersey when he joined the Marines during World War I. So certainly if anyone in our group is familiar with or has relations that they can find in the Dunmanway area, I would love to hear from you. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Dusty. Make sure you mute your mic. And let's go back to Ireland. They're in Macroom in the Tiny Fairy game. I see Sean, you're still on. Can you unmute your mic and let us know about your connection? I still see your mics. I can see you, but I can't hear you. There you go.
Yeah. Can you hear me better?
I can hear you and see you.
Okay. Right, my old areas are in Macroom. We can trace them back into the 17th century. Tom was on there earlier, Tom from Dover. Tom's ancestors actually were born in the same house near Macroom as I was. I would also like to thank you, Patrick, and David as well. You must have put weeks and months of work into this. So I think, as we say in Macron, we should get a bolo bus.
Thank you.
I'd like to, I haven't seen her, I'd like to say hello to Rita Wilson from Brisbane, and her lovely husband Ben that I met in Macroom about 6 or 7 years ago. Very nice pair. That's about all I have to say really, just to say hello to Tom as well. I haven't seen Tom now, and his lovely wife Pat. I haven't seen her here, but I'm sure she's in the background. So thanks to everyone, and it was nice seeing you, and hope to see you sometime in Geneva next year.
Sean, thank you. Sean typically pops into the gathering, the 5 I've been to. He's the kind of the local. But I remember last year, the year before, you were on the bus, the coach with us, and you and the driver were figuring out how to navigate. But I was sitting up front, and I didn't understand one name of one town you guys were talking about. But it was kind of amusing. But the other thing, in Macroom, there is a fairy garden in Macroom that I've been involved with, and I would encourage any of you that visit Macroom to stop by. Matter of fact, I worked on what in the United States we call a challenge coin, and it's the Tiny Feet Fairy Garden there in Masseytown and Macroom, and they have used these as a fundraiser to help raise money to support the fairy garden. It's been it's a very lovely place to enjoy Ireland. So, Sean, thanks so much.
Yeah, thank you.
And then let's move to, I don't see her on my list here, but I'll make sure, because sometimes people use different names here. Colette Mattingly. Colette, are you on here? I don't see any Colettes or any Mattingly, so.
I'm here. I just have Mattingly.
There you are. Where are you on my list here? Oh, I see you. I see you. Go ahead.
Well, I feel quite embarrassed because I don't know nearly as much as everyone else. My mother is O'Leary, not an O'Leary, but O'Leary, and I was raised by her family, my cousin found out about the gathering, and we were able to get there to Inchigila a couple years back, which was amazing, and I can't wait to do that again. As far as I know, my great-grandparents came, grandparents or great great grandparents came through New York at the end of the 1800s and settled in Pennsylvania, just outside Philadelphia. And that is pretty much all I know.
That's okay. Well, that's the reason you come to the gathering, is to find out more about your family. Okay, thank you. Well, let's stay in the United States, in Massachusetts. Overstreet, Colleen, I see you on my list. Are you there? Can you unmute your mic and tell us about yourself? Your connection? Colleen, are you there? Colleen Overstreet? I mean, I see that you're still showing up on my list. All right, well, I'll come back to that. How about Sharon? I know you're on here, or at least you started the call. Sharon Thornton?
Hi. Yes.
Oh, there you are.
We are here.
We can see you and hear you.
Oh, good. Here with my mom, Judy. Our connection is with my grandmother, Julia O'Leary, and her parents, Cornelius and Ellen, were both from the Inchigila area. Ellen was Bellinghari, and she came over when she was only 17 by herself in 1891. Had married, had 2 children, lost her husband and 1 child, and then 9 years later met Cornelius and married him. Even though they were both baptized at St. Finbarr's, they didn't know each other at the time. They met and connected in the Boston area, settled in Dorchester. So that is our connection. We were lucky enough, actually that is a picture of Cornelius and his brothers with their father, a group photo. We were lucky enough to visit and stay at Creedon's back in 2016. And I want to show everyone this lovely painting that was done by Joe and he gave us, which was really a treasure from our trip. Oh, and also while we were there, because Joe knows everybody, he actually got in contact with a cousin who still lives on the family farm in Bellinghari. And so that is a photo of my mother with our cousin, Eric Sullivan.
Oh, very cool.
Just an amazing trip. And thank you very much for doing this.
Well, thank you all so much for joining us. Well, then let's go back to the United Kingdom. And is Kevin O'Leary still on here? I see you on my list still. Kevin, can you unmute your mic? And
yeah, sure. Hi. Hi, everybody. Well, I looked into the O'Leary family starting about 10 years ago. And it kind of links with Jim because mine goes back out to the Beara Peninsula, way out west, about as west as you can go. So my great-great-great-grandfather was Timothy Leary, working in the copper mines at Allardyce, if I'm pronouncing that right. And my great-great-grandfather was Florence Leary, born in 1849 in Ballydonegan, which again is right out there on Beara Peninsula. He then married an Everett down in St Finbarr's in South Chapel in Cork in 1870. But then instead of going west, they made the mistake in 1871-72 of coming across to Lancashire, over to the mill towns of the northwest of England. And the family were there for a couple of generations. My late father was born there, and they then all came down to West London in just before the Second World War, fought in the war, and I was born up there, but I now live down in Salisbury, down in the southwest of England. But got some links to a couple of people on here. Julie Leary's not on here, but I know she knows Beth and that. I mean, I'd encourage anybody who hasn't done it to get into the old DNA side of things and get on GEDmatch as well, which is really good for linking up. But great to see so many people. Super.
Evan, thank you so much. Thanks.
Great. Thanks for organising. Thanks, Patrick.
Just in case they call me again.
Oh, Colleen, you there?
Oh, yes, oh gosh. Hi.
All right.
So excited. This is my first time doing this, and my cousin just spoke, my cousin's daughter Sharon and Judy, and that's how I got to get on this screen. And I'm not Colleen. Colleen did it for me. I'm not computer literate. That's my daughter. I'm Georgie O'Leary. And I'm just so excited to hear all of you people and see all of you people, and I hope I can go next year. But I start off with, I don't even know what my cousin said because I was trying to search to get to do the click to get on to speak. So anyway, I came from my great-grandparents, Jeremiah and Ellen O'Leary, Carhey, Ballingarry, County Cork. And my grandmother, and Judy's grandmother, Nellie, and she was married to one. She was an O'Leary, she got married to an O'Leary, so we must be related to a lot of O'Learys. And anyways, I went 20 years ago and met some of my family that I just hear my cousin talk about that I didn't know they knew. They seem to have different ones than I did, but in the house. I went to the old farm, and at the time, just Tim and Kathleen were there. And they had one daughter, Mary O'Sullivan, so that must be who's in that farmhouse now, which is exciting. Which made me wonder, and I guess what they were talking about was Mr. Creedon. I believe I'm related then to Mr. Creedon, and that would be Joan Creedon's son, maybe. And if that's the case, she was on she was on New Street in Macroom, and I have right here a letter from Joan Creedon that's dated in 2001. Lovely, lovely woman. And she had run, I think, a hardware, and her husband had passed away. Anyways, I'm just so excited and I'm nervous about this. But I met this, in that case too, Mr. Creedon would know, Joe Creedon should know, then Florrie and Susan O'Leary, whom I saw 18 years ago. But Florrie had gone into a nursing home, Susan sold the home. When I went last year, I couldn't find them. But they were actually living in, my papers flew away in the course, which was dumb to do. They lived in, Douglas. They lived in, I don't know, lived in, Jamie lived in Rochestown Road, and it was Kiltagan Park. But let's see, Florrie, I have it right here. Florrie was, sorry, it's gone. Florrie was in Valencia, was it Valencia? Ballincorrig Park, Douglas Road. I couldn't find them. But anyways, now maybe if Joe is related, and now my cousin knows, I'm going to find out some more, and I can hardly wait to see us all. Thank you. I'm sorry it took so long.
That's fine. And if you're related to Joe, I'm sure he could put you to work there in his pub, you know.
Oh, would I love it. I love it. Thank you so much. Oh, you're welcome. Thank you.
Well, thank you. My first year was in 2015, like I said, and for those who have been there, you know, the toilets, the restrooms are kind of behind the bar. First year I kept going in and I never could find the light switch. I thought, what the heck is up with this? And then the second year, finally somebody told me that the light switch are behind the bar. So, so now I'm a little smarter there. I see a Maureen Pickard, Canada. Get back to our Canada roots. Are you there, Maureen? Can you unmute and talk? Maureen O'Leary Pickard.
Picard, yes.
There you
I
go.
didn't want to lose the O'Leary.
There you go.
Hi there. So I'm in southwestern Ontario, about halfway between Toronto, Ontario, for those of you who know Canada, and I'll slip to Detroit. So we're about halfway between the Blue Jays and the Tigers. And so we're in an area that a lot of Irish emigrated to. There's a large Irish community here. And for Michael, we're about 50 kilometers away from Watford. So if you need me to track anything down in Watford, I'm happy to do that for you. And just a wee bit of history, you know, a lot of people who came over in the famine went to Erinsdale, which is really near Kingston. And that's where, we've got a large Irish population there as well. But we're very close to the United States border. And I know that we had family who came here originally from Ireland and then went to Pennsylvania, went to Ohio, went to Michigan, and to the Dakotas. So I'm sure there's some good connections there.
And have been diagnosed
So
with any...
I grew up in but we had my father's an O'Leary, and he had 12 brothers and sisters. So we had a large O'Leary contingent just that we lived with here. And about 2006, my husband and two of our sons went back to Inchigeelagh just to kind of connect. I thought it was a shame that we had lost all connection with Ireland. And we walked into the family church, the abandoned church, and I heard a loud crack of thunder. And nobody else heard it, so I figure it was the ancestors talking to me, welcoming me home. But since then, I've been doing some ancestry history. And so we just know from stories, but a little bit of documentation as well, that it was Timothy O'Leary from Inchigeelagh who came over from Ireland. He married Mary Ellen Boland, and he was a weaver in Inchigeelagh, went into the army, and I think it was the Irish Army, could have been the English Army, and at the end of his tour he was given 50 acres in southwestern Ontario. So that's how they came to be here. He started the family farm, and it was cattle farm, and also some grain farm, but they had 11 children here, and then we still have family on the family farm. So that's about my connection to it, but I'm really excited about the fact that we should be able to get, we haven't done GEDmatch yet, but my sister has been there to Inchigeelagh, went to the hotel and did a tour, and that's how we kind of got connected with Facebook folks. So Shayla and I hope to be visiting back next year when you have the reunion, and thank you so much for putting this together. It feels like a dry run for the big excitement of next year's reunion.
Well, thanks, Maureen. And although I will admit it's been a bit of a work, but this has been great. This is the proverbial a whole lot better than nothing, and it's actually been, I think, very productive. All right, well, let's head back over to Ireland. Sexton, Breed, how do you say that? I don't see you on my list. But I know people are using other people's computers, like we just experienced. No Sextons, I don't see you. All right, well, let me keep moving along here. We're not that much far. How about Sheila? Warman, you on here, Sheila? I don't see your name. Sheila? Can you unmute yourself? Or maybe mute Maureen back. Okay, well, let me keep going there. How about back to Canada, actually? We have a Connell O'Leary, Connell O'Leary. You still with us? Okay. Quite honest with you, we're coming up on 3 hours. Never in our wildest imagination did we think this thing would last that long. I do see another Donald O'Leary, not Don, but Donald O'Leary in Canada. Again, don't see him on my list. You there? All right. Okay. Again, this thing's gone a lot longer than we thought. Let me go to my last page. How about O'Rourke? Tom O'Rourke, South Carolina. Tom, are you there? I see a Tom. No, that's probably Tom Carlson. Any Toms? Any Toms?
That's Tom, my nephew. Tom's my nephew, and Jackie O'Leary.
They're not. That's an O'Rourke.
He's an O'Rourke, but he's married to my niece, Jackie O'Leary.
And he claims you? I have another Sean O'Leary on here, but I only see the Macroom Sean, as I call him. He was Dublin, so. All right.
Is it John O'Leary?
Oh, there you are. There you are. Are you? Yeah. Oh, you're in Dublin, right?
That's right. Yeah.
All right, you're up.
Okay, well, my connection to Ivlera or Inchgila is comes from two O'Leary families. My grandfather was Dennis O'Leary. He was from Derrinaburka, which is a townland up above Gugambara. And my grandmother comes from Prohus, which is a townland near Kilnamartra. And my grandfather married in to the farm at Prohus, because my grandmother inherited the farm. Her two brothers became priests, so she inherited the farm and he married in there. And because they were both O'Learys, there was no change of name on the farm when he married in. My grandmother, Margaret O'Leary, her father was Padre Rua O'Leary, who was from Liscarrigan, and he was a brother of Diarmid O'Leary, who was Antahar Padre O'Leary's father. So my grandmother and Antahar Padre O'Leary were first cousins. Now, Antahar Padre O'Leary is the Peter O'Leary that Tom mentioned earlier on when he showed us the book of my story. In Irish, it's called Mushkeel Féin by Antahar Padre O'Leary. My grandfather, Dennis O'Leary, before he married my grandmother, spent 14 years in the States. He emigrated to the States in 1887, landing at Boston. And he came home in 1901 from New York. And I don't know anything at all about his time in the States, which I'm hoping this winter that I might research. And he landed in Cove, which was then Queenstown, on Christmas Day 1901. And then a month later, on the 30th of January 1902, he and my grandmother were married in the church at Ballyvogue, which I think is another name for Kilnamartra. So therefore, the match must have been made while he was still in the States. So I just have a picture here of them on the day of their wedding. Here they are. I don't know, can you see that?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, here they are in all of their glamour. And then in 1902, 30th of January 1902, and here they are with their 7 sons in 1928 in front of the farm at Prohus, because in 1928, 2 of their sons, my uncle Cornelis, and my uncle Barney, Barnabas, they both emigrated to the United States. They ended up in California. They married and reared children there, and I have Californian cousins that I am in contact with. So all I have to say now is that I'm just absolutely amazed at what a great gathering this has been. It's been entertaining, it's been really interesting, and hopefully I will get to Inchigila in next year. Thank you very much.
Well, Sean, we thought if this goes successfully, that we might try to plan maybe 2 of these a year, plus obviously the physical gathering, because it has been a very productive thing. And I must say that I'm very jealous of your pronunciation of all those towns. It took me at least 2 gatherings to learn how to pronounce Inchigila, and then there's a pub up near Middle Street called Carraginaman. That took me quite a while to figure that one out too. So, thank you. We just have a handful left here. Is there still a Michael O'Leary from Massachusetts on here? I see a Michael O'Leary, but that might have been the one that already went.
Yeah, you got me already.
Yeah, I just want to say that there was. In fact, I think of the 60 names on here, about a third of them are O'Leary. So, but Michael O'Leary from Massachusetts, going once. Okay, I've got a Margaret O'Leary from Dublin. Is there a Margaret O'Leary on the call? A Margaret O'Leary, another name out of the Irish family list. Got a lot of Margarets in my family. No on Margaret. Well, I'll tell you what, Tom Leary, I know you've already spoke in Massachusetts, but can you give us your quick background on your connection to the clan? Can you unmute yourself?
Yes, I can. Thank you very much, Patrick. I actually have a Patrick in my line. My Patrick was the earliest I've been able to find a record for. Patrick was the father of Lewis, who was my great-great-grandfather. So Patrick was my 3 times great-grandfather. And so Lewis was born in 1810 in a place called Canavy, where Sean was actually born. And I've been to the family farm in 1810. That's getting back pretty far in Irish genealogy, but I was fortunate enough to get there in 1999 when I met Mary O'Leary from Ballingarry, and her brother Liam Lyons took me to the old graveyard, and I went out to the then Hurley House, where the ruins of the original home still are there in the area where the driveway is. So I met Sean from there, and it's been all very interesting since. So from Lewis, my great-great-grandfather, he came to America in 1836, pre-famine, and his youngest son was also Lewis, my great-grandfather, and he was born in 1852, died in 1906 in Boston. My grandfather was John, a Boston fireman for 41 years. My father was Thomas, and I'm Thomas, and I'm living out in Dover, and I just can't tell you how much I appreciate everybody putting the effort into this, because everybody I hear talking about their O'Leary families and their history rings a bell in some ways. These folks that are talking about Ballingarry and their double Learys or double O'Learys reminds me of a woman named Mary Dundon, who I used to know here in Dover, whose parents were double O'Learys from Ballingarry, and I'm sure that these folks are related to her. And you know, I could go on. The people in the Beara Peninsula, I've got records from people that came from Allihies into the Boston area in 1845. They were naturalized citizens, and they settled in Waltham, Massachusetts. So I've really got a lot of links through my research, because I just started collecting all Learys and O'Learys, and it's really taken me to a place that you know, sometimes is a little beyond my capacity to hold, you know. But I'm very happy to be here. I appreciate the opportunity to get out, because my health hasn't been good the last couple of years. But seeing you all really does a lot to lighten my spirits. And I know when you do get to Inchigeelagh again, it'll lighten your spirits a heck of a lot if you get into the pub and have a good time listening to Joe sing. Maybe you can sing a song yourself. And a lot of you were mothers, and I remember the first gathering I went to in 2005, when I first met Dawn. I had been there in '99, but in '05 we had that big, huge gathering, and I remember singing the song, "A Mother's Love is a Blessing." And yes, indeed, happy Mother's Day to all you mothers, and thank you so much for your work in this process as well. And thank you also to my wife Pat, who's accompanied me and kind of kept me in line, and she tolerates all of this collecting that's been going on in my life. So thanks again, and I appreciate everything, and best of luck to you, and we'll see you all in Inchigeelagh.
Thanks, Tom. Dermot, are you still on? Dermot, you still out there?
I am.
Well, go ahead and give us your history.
Just unmusing myself. Oh yeah, I'm done. Oh well, yes, well, my name is Dermot O'Leary. Dermot is actually a very old Irish name, popular in various families and clans, including the O'Learys. Now, when we came Christianized, the name Jeremiah was adopted as being the equivalent of Dermot, and that's why a lot of people have both a Dermot or maybe a Jeremiah in their families. My father was Dermot O'Leary in Dublin. My grandfather, Dermot O'Leary. My great-grandfather was baptised Jeremiah O'Leary in Killarney, County Kerry,
his father was John O'Leary, again in Killarney. I don't know, I know obviously how my O'Learys came from Killarney to Dublin. There's no way of knowing how they came to be in Killarney. There would have been pre-1800, records just aren't there. Clan gatherings, I'm lucky enough to have not only been at the first one, but at this stage I've been to most of them. Of course, for the last while I've been involved with others on the committee, clan gathering committee. Anyway, it was great seeing and meeting with all of you here today, and I'm really looking forward to the gathering next year in Inchigeelagh. Slán.
It would be nice. Is there anybody I have missed? I don't think so.
Yeah, it's Tom Carlson here. I haven't given my history.
Oh, well, you know, if you wear a crazy hat, you can speak. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, just very quickly, my wife is actually descended from the Art O'Leary family. She's descended from Cornelius. He shot the sheriff after the sheriff shot Art O'Leary, and then he fled to America, and we backed that up with DNA evidence. And it's interesting to follow him through all the American census information, because every time the census worker came around, he would lie about where he was from and when he was born and all this other stuff, but he was still part of the same family. But, so anyway, my wife is actually descended from the people who were living in the castle. And so as thus, she's going to be running for the Tannic Taoiseach, the chief of the clan, the first female chieftain in history. But on my side, I was quite surprised. My family comes from Dunmanway, and we are O'Daly's. But much to my shock and dismay, turns out one of the O'Daly's came over the hill, and my theory is the wheel fell off his wagon, and rather than fixing it himself, he married an O'Leary girl so that she would fix the wheel on his wagon, because I do have one O'Leary in my background. But the number one concern I have right now is my Guinness is empty, and I'm trying to get Joe. It's cold. I can't get him to give me another Guinness. I don't know what it takes to get a service around here. Okay, and here's Joe for the last word.
In union with all of our friends online there, one or two things. This picture I showed earlier on shows John's father. So John gave us this photograph, and we showed it earlier on in the pub. So John was talking on the group today, and your late father is here. Somebody mentioned the name Langtry when they were making their family link, and Kathleen Flanagan, who is very well known in the O'Leary group. She has got a Langtry connection in hers, so you could make a link. And the other thing I picked up on was the name, the Christian name George has appeared a few times today, and there were one or two Georges in the family. One of them was in Bantry, and one of them was way back a historic link to Kinsale. But those of you that were following this today, there were two people with the name George, and I think you should link up and do a kind of a family research. And it was great to see Tom holding forth with his collection. He has donated quite a lot of the collection to the top of the bar here, and you're all very, you can see we're very compliant here. We've got wearing our mask and everything. So thanks again. We had a lovely afternoon, and it was congratulations to Patrick, really. You're quite a chat show host. You've got a new career, and I'll hand you back to Tom for the last word there.
Well done, Patrick. Thank you for all your hard work on this. I think the entire clan owes you a debt of gratitude for this.
Well, I appreciate that, and I will kind of wrap this thing up, and we'll get out of here. It has actually been an amazing 3 hours. We never thought it would last this long. It's been very productive. I heard a lot of connections to this and tracked this down. I know when I visited Mill Street and the priest took me into the church and showed me the baptism bowl that my great-grandfather was baptized in, it's an amazing experience, and I hope everybody can have that same type I do want to thank Lucas and his entertainment, and a proud grandfather there in Dearman. Joe for helping us out in his musical tribute. And again, Tom, fascinating presentation on the castle. Really enjoyed that. And again, Tom Leary, thank you for sharing your collection with us. Is there anybody else that didn't get a chance to talk about their connection to Ireland? I think I kept pretty good track. Well, then in that case, where's Joe? Is Joe still there? Or can somebody, how do you say goodbye in Irish? Dearman?
You'd say Slán de Fall. Goodbye for now.
There you go. So goodbye for now, folks. Thanks so much.
Slán de Fall.
Thank you, Patrick. It was a wonderful,
Slán de
wonderful
Fall.
session.
Slán de Fall, agus go Margaret. Slán.
Slán, Rosie.
Hi, everyone. Great to see you.
Bye, everybody. See you next year.
Next year.
Bye. Get that castle fixed. Thank you, Patrick.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Good girl, Rosie.
Rosie.